We want to hit the pleasure centers of your brain.
Hey,
Okay.
you did mine just now.
Oh God. So you want to talk about, first and foremost, the last thing we talked about right before we hit record. You want to talk about your answer to what's it about?
Well,
What's the I Don't Drink Coffee podcast about?
that's always when somebody finds out that we podcast or that I, when I bring it up or whatever, because invariably it's because it's something that we do. You know what I mean? When people are finding out about you, and I end up saying something about it, and they always go, "Oh, what's it about?" And there's a lot of what?
Every time.
Oh yeah, yeah, and there's most podcasts have some sort of a vein that they follow or something like that. But the more I think about, because I put some pretty heavy thought into what is it about, and why does it seem like our answer is always, well, it's about everything. And I was thinking, why does it seem like that? Because it does seem like that it's kind of about everything. But my reason for wanting to do any of it in the first place, back when we were interviewing Israel, before we even had the podcast, you know what I mean? Before we were even really sure what a podcast was, we were doing this stuff.
We were doing this stuff.
Right.
We didn't release it, but we did interview Israel.
But we didn't know why, though. We didn't call it a podcast because they weren't a thing then, really, if you
That's
think
true.
about it. They were, but it was like a very, thing way off out in the internet somewhere that it hadn't taken hold so far. But anyway, so I was sitting there thinking about it, and I thought, for me, the whole reason for doing it, what makes it fun to do, or what, and I only do it because it's fun. You know what I mean? I mean, that's my whole reason behind it. And because what makes it fun for me is it's creative. You know what I mean? We're creating content, but the idea behind it for me is to explore the human condition. Everybody that we have on here, every guest, every time, it's never, I don't really do it for views or listens. And whenever I think about when someone, it doesn't make me mad. But when somebody asks me what it's about, and it's an honest question, I'm not saying that someone's wrong for answering it, but it always strikes me as unfortunate that people can't inherently get that it's about exploring people. For me, that's what the whole thing is about. It's not about promoting businesses or anything like that. I leave that to you. For me, it's genuinely a creative outlet. It is a way of getting things out of my head, out, documenting some of it because some of it's funny. I think, some people would, things we've talked about on here, other people have contacted both of us and said, man, I'm glad somebody said something about that, or I can identify with that. And to me, that's, if you have to say, what's it about? It's just about people. It's just about getting to know someone that either you didn't know before, or maybe you didn't know that thing about them if you did know them before. Um, it's just about people, and it's about creating relationships with people, furthering relationships. And what started it was us talking. Obviously we've went through that 100 times, but I just wanted to address, for me, I'm not saying it's the, oh my god, the how would you say this? It's not the theme of I Don't Drink Coffee podcast. I'm not trying to speak for the podcast itself. I'm trying to say, for me, it's a creative outlet specifically. I wouldn't call myself a creative person. I have a creative vein in who I am or whatever. I've always played music and always, um and I'm not an artsy fartsy guy. I don't paint. I don't do any of those things like that. But I do have a creative side that I do appreciate, and I appreciate it in other people. And so giving someone the opportunity to talk about themselves or something that they know about or something that's interesting to me, and watching them, I don't know how many times I've sit here and watched people and had people say, why do you want me to be on there? I don't have anything, until they start talking, and then they realize they do have something to say. And see, those are the kind of things that's neat. You watch someone kind of open up, the more they talk, and the more they see that, because it's intimidating when you first think about, well, we're going to record something, put it on the internet, and everybody invariably gets nervous about, oh, this is going to be on there forever, and 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 I get the idea of thinking that. I don't really, most of the time I don't really think of it that way. I, like anything else I've ever done creatively, I just stick it out there in the world, and whatever it does, it does. Whatever it doesn't, it doesn't. And I don't really carry it around that much. But it's neat watching people find themselves more interesting than they realized. You know what I mean? For me, and I'm a pretty philosophical guy by nature anyway. It's cool to watch people's minds open up about themselves. I don't know how many people I when you approach them about something, and there'll be something about them that I think is interesting or you think is interesting, and I'll say, we want to have you on the podcast to talk about blah blah blah," and almost without exception, they always go, "I don't why." I don't have anything to say. I'm like, yeah, you do. This is interesting. It's going to be neat. And then once they get going, then it's like, it opens up. So for me, the podcast is about people. And I know when if I just said that back to someone, if they go, "What's the podcast about?" and I go, "People," it's going to sound like a smart ass answer. You know what I mean? But the reason I'm elaborating on it now, did I say that right? Yeah. Anyway, uh, is because I always tend to over explain myself anyway. But I kind of wanted to.
You and me both.
I wanted to address it, you know what I mean? So that if now I can say, if someone goes, "Well, what's it about?" I'm gonna go, "Well, listen to episode 353 or whatever this is." I think it's like 51 or something like that.
Not quite.
But anyway, that's my answer. Uh, that's what I wanted to talk
You
about.
nailed it for me too. You nailed it for me too. And I'm glad you did, because every time just like Robert Carr, Councilman Robert Carr for the Choctaw Nation, just stopped by the house, and he's running for reelection. And he asked me about the podcast and what it was about. And every time someone asks me that, I say it's about anything and everything. We do this, we do that, we talk, and I always think, okay, as soon as I get out of this conversation, I've got to start thinking about a good answer. I've got to start thinking about a good answer,
Well, a nice short answer
a
for me
better
is
answer
is
than
like,
anything and everything. Because they just look at you like, what do you
well,
mean?
it's
Are you
kind
talking
of
about fishing and hunting? Or are you talking about, what do you mean anything and everything? Are you talking about the mountains and the rivers? Or are you talking about, so yeah,
see
my,
for
my answer sucks every time. And I know it.
Well,
I
I've
know
done
it
it too.
does.
Danced around it because I wasn't sure how to answer it. But the short answer to me is the human condition, and it's just about what it's like to be a person. And that sounds vague and kind of silly when you just say it like that. But I mean, it's what I when I think about why would I want to talk to people. Why do you want to get to know anybody? Well, it's because you want to get to know them. So it's about their experience in this life to me. Everything else is like, I mean, yes, I like to learn. I like to be taught things. I don't mind learning new things, and I don't think I'm even close to know it all. And so I enjoy being taught certain things, but I also just enjoy hearing about somebody's experience
Yes.
in their life.
I think it's a shame when someone dies and they weren't able to tell their story,
Sure. Well,
and their
that,
story dies forever. You know what I mean?
yeah.
I mean, it really, and that's what got me to really. I mean, my granny was this way. She loved doing this kind of thing. She did this kind of thing. She interviewed Gedman Brown, who's from Latimer County, but he's really Lithuanian. I think he's from Lithuania, and she interviewed him a long time. In fact, I have the tape here um, that she sat down with him and talked about everything in Latimer County. There's a woman that's buried on the outskirts of Latimer County, or of Wilburton. She's buried on past Eastern. She's buried on. She couldn't be buried in the Catholic cemetery because she was not Catholic, but her husband's buried there, and they had to find, I guess, a place to bury her. I forget the story, how it all went down, but there was a guy that contacted me a couple years ago, and he was like, "Hey, I'm doing a research on the Lithuanian people in Latimer County or in Oklahoma," and I think I had. How did he know about me? I don't know, but I think maybe I'd put a little video, a snippet of Gedman on there, because he's telling his story, and I knew him. He was an old man when I was a kid, but I knew him, and he was close to our family, and I think we may have been kin to him. I'm not sure, but uh, no, we weren't kin to him, but we were close. But anyways, uh, he reached out to me. This guy did, and was like, "Hey, I'm doing this research, and I need to what the video you have. I absolutely need it." And then when he got the video, I contacted my mom first because I was like, "Hey, I want to, I want to make sure that it's okay with
Sure,
you,
sure.
and because it was about our, her mom and my granny, and I knew she wouldn't care, but I reached out to her and was like, "Hey, this guy," and she was like, "Yeah." So I gave him the video, and he was like, "I did not know that. I did not know there was a." I think that's the story. He goes, "We did not know there was a Lithuanian buried on the other side of Eastern, on the
To
other."
me, it's like a strange thing. Why wouldn't the Catholics let her be buried next to her husband?
If you're not Catholic, you can't be buried in Catholic cemetery.
Well, do better, Catholics. That's bullshit.
And so,
Sorry,
and
Catholics, but
I have to go back and touch base on that story again to be 100%. So don't take my, but there is, I think a mom and her baby. I think it's two people that's buried
wow. So
out
they wouldn't
there.
even let the baby. It was the baby not half Catholic, for Christ's sakes. Since the dad,
Well,
I
I don't
mean,
want
come
to.
on.
I don't like I said, man. I don't know
See, you get me all revved
exactly.
up
I
now.
know.
It
I
pisses
know.
me
Well,
off.
it kind of made me mad too because I think they needed to go and mark that cemetery off or
Oh yeah.
research and make sure there's graves there so they can mark it off. It's kind of what he was telling
Is it
me.
on Carldine's land or something like that? Because the cemetery's right
It's
there.
on state land, I believe. I don't know. Anyways, my granny did the same thing. It's in my blood. And then as a kid, my mom does that too. She likes to, she likes to get for me it's to hear their story. And I think that's with my mom and my granny too. She did all kinds of research too. She took pictures of graves. I'm talking about thousands of graves. I mean, she did all kinds of research. And I'm not in that. I'm not into that, but she was into hearing someone's story. And my mom's the same way. And then when I was a kid, I had a tape recorder, and I've got tapes of me, being a DJ and a radio host and you name it, talking and all that, dude. So that's what I've always, but, to tell, um, to make me really think about the podcast and start to do the podcast, I want to hear everyone's story, and it kind of made me sad that like my granny, I've got all kinds of videos of her, but never really no videos of her just sitting down telling her story. She's getting everybody else's story,
Right.
So and it's kind of sad because you have a story and I have a story and we really don't tell much of our stories on here.
Well, and I have a tendency to think that mine's pretty boring. It's pretty
Just like
bland or
you were
whatever. But
saying earlier.
right,
Just like you were saying.
right. Well, but you know, I always look at it as like this is somebody else's time. You know what I mean?
Right.
I could,
Yeah. For sure.
in conversation or whatever, and I've told you what I would consider probably 85% of my life story just over our time of being friends or whatever.
And every time I'm like, man, we got to have this on. And you do the same to me. You're like,
yeah,
man, we need this on the podcast. People
yeah.
need to hear this.
Well, and I thought it was a good opportunity when we were talking earlier. It just seems like a good time to kind of. It's always been a thing where what's it about? What's it about? And that way, now it's kind of it's down. It's on the internet or will be. Kind of what it's
Yes.
about. If anybody ever wants to back up and go, what the hell? How did this get going?
And I go back and watch that video of Gedman talking and everything he said. And if you don't have that video, then everything he said, you don't have.
Yeah,
Those people buried, they didn't know about those. That's just insane to me. And then just like my grandpa, when he died and I've got video of him talking and stuff, and I sit down with him and a little bit right before he died. And we talked to him a little bit and didn't really get a story, So that is another reason,
yeah,
For me, it's just when you sit down and talk to people, and I mean, I got a story that I talked to a guy, um, one of my clients in Tennessee. I sat down with him in his music room. He had this room. He was a gigantic music fan, and his whole room was covered in music. And he went to backstage at Elvis Presley's concert, got to meet him. He's telling me a story. He got signed with the Cubs, and they gave him a Cadillac. And before he could even actually play for the Cubs, he was driving to a concert or something and got T-boned,
In
and
the Cadillac?
in the Cadillac,
Sweet. I
and
mean, not sweet, but I mean, it's kind of a
and
neat
died.
tie.
He
Wow.
died. They put him in a body bag, and his friend showed up to the hospital, and he was out in the hallway dead, and he was started breathing. And so then he was put in a full body cast forever, well, not forever, but for a very long time. And needless to say, he never played for the Cubs. And he's telling me this whole story. And then he starts a business with his friend, and he's does runways. He paints runways at airports. This is forever ago, right? They literally they created their own truck. Literally, the paint, the paint guns, everything that was on that truck to paint those runways, they literally manufactured. They made.
Huh.
They took a truck, and he had an album that had like 400 pictures in it from start to finish of this truck. And he went through, and I was like, "Oh my gosh." I mean, I was trying to work and all that, but I was glued to his story.
And I have a guy that I've asked to be on the podcast a couple of times that I work with. That he's a big gun guy. Now he's more of a pistol guy, and I've tried to get him to come on because he's sat down and had long history lessons with me about these guns, and he knows dates.
And you're like, "Just stop.
I've asked him.
Let's hit record,"
Well, anytime I ask him, he just acts like I didn't say anything. He'll just look at me and then he'll go on to this thing. Like he's not, I can tell he's not going to do it. You know what I mean? And it's a shame because, like you were saying,
Stay on him.
there's a lot of information there, which, dude, yes, I have the internet. I could go get on the internet and read all of that shit myself. But he's taking the time and he knows it well enough and he tells it well enough. There's no way I could regurgitate what I could read off the internet and engage you in the way this man owns these guns. You know what I mean? Like he's shown me, I'm guessing, a neighborhood of 20 something guns, pistols of all kinds, from revolvers to the beginnings of John Browning's 1911s before they were, he owns them. He ain't showing me pictures. He's got them. Now he'll bring them and say, this is this, this is this, this is this. Extremely interesting. Even if you're not a firearm person, just the history, number one, that John Browning had that I wasn't aware of. So it's kind of like the guy you were talking about. You're just sitting there like, dude, this is riveting. And I would never on my own go snoop around and find out how these handguns were made. It's one of those things you didn't know you liked till you tried it, type deal. You know what I mean? It's like, holy shit, I could listen to this for hours, and I do. And he'll say, "Well, I brought some educational material today," and he'll take off, and every time I'm glad. It's pretty interesting, and that's what I say about for me. I was always the same way about. I don't have any tapes of me interviewing anybody or anything, but you know, I, the idea of just being, well, this is Southeast Oklahoma. There ain't nothing around here. Quit trying to be something. You know what I mean? It's not. I think it's funny. And I know there's people that probably listen and watch this that think that. And I just want you to know I laugh whenever I think about you, whoever you are out there, saying or thinking that, because you are that. You know what I mean? You're laughing because who do you think you are? Well, you. I know I'm better than you are. How about that? You know what I mean? I just don't. I don't feel. I don't feel like we're overstepping our bounds. I feel like that these are chances that should be taken creatively.
Absolutely.
And that's where, I was thinking about I posted a video on my Facebook earlier today, and it's Ethan Hawke talking about creativity, human creativity, and what kind of importance I think it's like a TED talk or something like that. But anyway, it's just a video of him talking though. He's not at the TED talk thing. But I thought it was really interesting. It got my brain working in this direction because it, it reminds me of where I come from as a person and everything. Whenever we talk about the podcast and we always get in trouble for, well, don't talk about the podcast on the podcast. And but I think it's funny because that's how we get to tell our part of this story. is which maybe not strategically we shouldn't sit around here and talk about it, but I think it's important to make people understand that it comes from a place of creativity for me. That's why I want to get on here and I want to be very fucking natural. I want everybody who is on here, you, me, everybody, to just be natural.
Be themselves.
Because, dude, the most entertaining thing, the thing, if you want to be thought of as intelligent, if you want to be thought of as something great or whatever, just be you. The cool, the neatest thing about people is, we just happen to have similar senses of humor and that kind of thing like that. But the neatest thing about that is like being able to identify myself or my sense of or taste in something with yours. You know what I mean? When you say something funny, I'm like, dude, I would, half the time I'm like, why didn't I think of that or something like that? But anyway, I'm going on a long rant about what the podcast is about. But
Well, I mean, it needed to be said.
yeah, I think so too.
I think it was great
Well, it's a good opportunity, as good as any, to kind
because
of
you
clear the
weren't
air.
thinking about it beforehand, right? I mean, I know you've thought about it before, but you weren't thinking about it, talking about it tonight until
No, no,
until
earlier.
Robert Carr came by and I come back in and was like, yeah, he asked me what the podcast was about. And you were like, okay.
Yeah, I was sitting here thinking about, I mean, I knew that you had some ideas about some things you were wanting to get, talk about or whatever. And I was sitting there thinking, it's been on my mind. We need to clear the air about what this thing is. You know what I mean? And I like that if I were to say to somebody, I wouldn't say that I don't want to ever be vague, and I'm not trying to be cryptic, and I'm not trying to seem mysterious and weird and all that shit. I honestly am the opposite of that. I'm a very simple person, or I view myself as a very simple person. Um, so the idea is not to say, well, I'm creative and you're not, or look at me, I'm an artist. That's not what I'm trying to say here. What I'm trying to say is I enjoy humanity. Now, I'm not always very social. I mean, as a person generally out in the world, I don't care to go to big parties and hang around with people and to do all those things. But I do enjoy being creative. And that's what the neat thing about this platform is like it's intimate. You know what I mean? It's like us and somebody else. It's a few people, very few opinions are getting spit out there. And the reason I say that is, uh, it gets muddy real quick if you get a lot of people talking at one time, and everybody's got their own opinion, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with someone expressing their opinion, even if I don't agree with it. And I honestly feel that way. I mean, I literally can hear someone and listen to what they're saying, and it doesn't have to match up with what I think. Uh, the idea though is just to to interact. Like the opportunity to put this stuff on the internet. When we had Logan on before we had him on, I was talking to him about it. And one of the things I was telling him was I was like, you think about the fact that like our granddad, dude, we got no way. I'll never hear that man's voice again. There's no recordings that I'm aware of. No recordings of the man. Um, no videos, no nothing. You're talking about being able to put this on the internet, and in 100 years, as long as there's still internet, which I would assume there would be, your descendants, whoever they may be, can always go back and listen. Same reason that I do YouTube videos or play music on YouTube and stuff, because somebody will be able to go back. It might be some little something to you. You sit down for a few minutes and put something down, but think about like you feel whenever you watch those videos of your granny, or your grandpa. You go back and because they're gone, it gives you just for a little bit of time, you get to revisit who they are and what they are or were. They still are to you.
Right.
Those kind of memories are for the living. They're not the dead are dead, but the living. It's a neat thing to have to go back. I wish I had something of my granddad where I could see it.
Yeah. But how neat would it be to go back 4 grandpas, 5 grandpas?
Right.
You know what I mean? Great, 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 great grandpa that you never met and see how similar or how
Oh yeah.
just to see how they are, you know? I mean, I was telling Casey the other night, we're Jesse James, the outlaw, is my great, great, great uncle. One of the great uncles. He's 3 or 4, whatever. And Frank is my great, great, great grandpa. So I get to watch movies and see, you know what
Yeah.
I mean? Or read stories and see how he was, but that's all I've got
Well,
as
and
far as that goes.
like you said, you bring up a really good point. Because what I know about my family, like whenever things like this Killers of the Flower Moon's coming out, this new Scorsese movie's coming out here in a few months. Well, see now that is about my Osage family. My family was right in the middle of all that. My great grandfather was one of the original allottees, one of the original people that was allotted uh the mineral rights up there. I mean, he's when you look at the original people that were given those things and Osage tribal members, he's one of them. His name's on there. And so that story is real close to home for me because my family went through it, just like you're talking about your family with the Jameses and those kind of things. Even though the history up there isn't as well known as the outlaw parts and those kind of things like that. For me as an individual, it's very close to home because I've my grandmother would talk about going through that stuff, and when you're a little kid and you hear her talking about it, you're like, yeah, 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 you know what I mean, whatever, whatever, whatever. Well, now that as an adult and you see, I guess you'd say enough atrocities, or you see human nature unfold in its you know what can be a really bad way. You see those things and you can take that knowledge and put it to the situations that your family was in, and it's like, wow, as an
Yes.
adult, you can go, man, that's real. Instead of it being a story that some old lady was telling you when you were a kid, now it's like I can see how people could be that way. I know people that are that way, or I know of people that are that way. So I could see something unfolding that way. And then when they make a movie about it, like they have the Jameses, I mean,
A
been
million movies.
millions of movies or whatever made of them. It's to know you're somehow connected to that. It kind of gives it a little bit deeper, feel to it. I'm very excited about the movie. Even if they get it wrong, it's almost like a good story. I mean, don't let the truth get in the way of a good story. I think that's somebody's saying or something like that. To me, that it makes perfect sense. I'm excited about it, and everybody's talking about how shitty Leonardo DiCaprio's southern accent is, and it is. I was watching a trailer of it yesterday, and I was like,
But is it though?
he gets the nuances, but
Because maybe it was different back then. Maybe the way he did it is he nailed it.
well, it's not terrible. It's just that I don't know. I've seen way worse. I've seen people do way worse with the
There's
South, but
not many actors out there that's better than him.
right. Oh no, no, no. He'll do excellent. Or he'll be. I'm very excited about it, to say the least. But
And maybe he watched videos
oh yeah, he's
of
yeah,
way
yeah.
back then, and maybe that's how it sounded.
Well, I've listened to
I'm
him
just
talk about the preparation that went into it and everything. You know what I mean? I mean, it's and a lot of people do it. Val Kilmer did it for it. Well, you've never seen Tombstone, but his role that he played in Tombstone, he had a voice coach come in, and these actors do these kinds of things. But
Tombstone's a new movie though, right? Is it out? Is it out yet? Is it on DVD? Is it on Blu-ray? Can I slap the Blu-ray in and watch it yet?
I can't wait for people to destroy you in these comments. But anyway, the point of all that was to say that you know, I've always been, just sitting around thinking about my granddad. He was a very important person to me whenever I was a kid. He died when I was 10, but I was real tight with him. Took his death real hard, even as a little kid, and all that kind of thing. So, as I get older and I realize that there's, probably 3 or 4 really solid memories that I have of him that I may have added to over time. I don't know. I mean, but there's a few things I remember about him. You know, you think, man, there's, these people come and go just like we will, and what's left when they're gone, and this is a way of, I wouldn't say it's not on purpose for me to extend or to make myself immortal, because who am I? I mean, I'm a fucking whatever. We live and die on this earth, everybody does, and you go on about your way or whatever. The idea for me though is not for me to live on. It's for people down the road, just like I am about my grandfather, to have something to go back to. Because when I'm dead, I'm not going to care, or I would assume I don't. I don't know. Who knows? But I don't want to get in that philosophical argument. But I'm simply saying that the importance for me is not that I go on. You know what I mean? Like I hear people talking about, well, I want to download my consciousness, blah, blah,
Well,
blah.
we haven't told our story.
Well,
So obviously that's not what we're trying to do here.
well, the idea is to give, though, for me.
Right.
You know what I mean? Give someone the
Yes.
opportunity, because you and I don't know. We know very few other people that podcast, and we don't know anybody else. Not anybody else do we know. Now, there's people out there, but we don't know them that podcast for the reasons that we're podcasting. I was doing all that music before
We
the
haven't
internet.
started a Patreon yet, which we need to.
Oh yeah,
We haven't started one of those yet. That costs money.
do people do that? I guess they
Damn
do.
right.
No, I mean, do people subscribe to them?
Damn right.
I can't imagine.
Yes.
Although when I think about my mind's working a little bit ahead,
Right.
but when I think about subscribing to someone's Patreon, and it's gonna sound like shit because I don't want people to not, but I always think that it's funny because it's like buying what my wife calls outfits on video games. You know what I mean? Like I'll spend like $20
Yes.
to get a deal on.
Yes.
You know, because
Yes.
I do play video games for fun a lot of times.
We both do.
In case nobody's ever figured that out. We're
gamers.
Yeah, we play online a little bit, and just for me, it's one of those outlets too of just like a decompression thing for me.
Yeah.
It's just neat to get on there and I don't have to fucking.
I've never subscribed to a Patreon. I honestly, Trevor Brinkley messaged us, both of us, the other day about Theo Vaughn's podcast with Hardy, which is a country singer.
Yeah. I don't listen to Hardy very much, but I've heard him.
I never even heard of the guy. But Trevor was like, "Hey, you gotta listen to it. It reminds me of Lucas." So the stuff he said. So I listened to the whole thing.
Yeah.
And there's people out there that listen to every word to every podcast, and that's the first, I've told you this, but that's the first podcast I've ever listened to from start to finish. I turned it on right there on that computer, and I cleaned up in here because
how long of a podcast is it? I did not listen to. I need to.
2 hours, I think. It's about 2 hours.
Right in the middle of some stuff.
And Theo at the very end was like, "I'm late for my AA meeting," and he goes, "So is it okay if we?" And he's like, "Yeah, dude," and he's like, "Okay, cool." And then they shut her down, pretty much. So that was the end of the podcast. But we just went on vacation, went to the beach and got back, and I was like, "Man, I need to clean up in here and get," and I knew we were fixing to do a podcast. I was ready to get back in and hung some stuff up, hung that poster up that's been in storage since 1975. So I hung that poster up. I've been went and bought a frame for that, and had that on while I was listening.
You got 7-Ups sitting here that are
1974. Yeah. Those 7-Ups were really close to that poster in storage.
And if you'll subscribe to the Patreon, Ben will drink one of those 7-Ups on the Patreon exclusively.
You know what? I would do it. And I was gonna say Patreon's for like if people wanted to watch me drink whiskey. Like no way is Ben gonna drink some whiskey. Well, I mean, the people that know me,
right?
Which I'm fixing to fire up some whiskey real quick, but that's what that's for. That kind of thing. It's for stuff that you don't put out. Yeah. It's you got to have and it's not the we're not showing our balls in there.
Oh, well, I'm not into
not for the low tier, for the high tier. You have to pay to see these balls.
You go out on Drink Coffee Elite, and we'll see.
Word. That'd be like a $20 a month subscription, and you can go in there, and
you'll be really pissed for what you get for your money. Please don't sue us.
Man, we're
gonna LLC that shit so we don't get sued.
I want to talk about what you had for lunch today. Let's get into it.
Oh, God, dude. Okay.
Let's get into
it. Well, let me give a real short rundown here while Ben makes his whiskey. Okay, well, I had a kind of a weird day today. It's Thursday, but it's my Friday. I work 10 days in a row, and then I get 4 days off. Well, we're rolling up on my 10th day today. So on my Friday, in my job, and I won't go into my job because evidently that's some kind of a faux pas thing to do or whatever. Oh, you're trying to screw the lid off? You can see he drinks all the time. You didn't even know how to open the bottle. That's way more than you need. You're good, I promise. Uh, so anyway, on what you consider your Friday, we generally take it pretty easy. You know what I mean? Like you're coming off 10 days in a row. Everybody's tired of being there and doing that. Yeah, see,
Did you hear that?
yeah,
Yep.
it even sounds like shit. It probably tastes like shit. I don't really,
It's good.
but anyway. The reason I'm saying this is we were on the phone and I had a really it's a pretty intense day for a Friday. Usually we take it easy, and I didn't take it easy today. I had a lot of stuff to do, and had to work through lunch, and didn't get to eat till about what time did we talk? 2 or 2:30? Was it that late?
Yeah.
It was up there pretty good.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I was hungry, and so I go in and get me something to eat, and Ben calls while I'm paying for my food. Well, I'm out in the country, and there's one little old store, a country store out there that I won't get into because I don't want to make anybody mad or anything. But it's an old store, old country store. Said that 3 times, and I go in there, and they sell. This guy's got a hot box, and if anybody doesn't know what a hot box is, they sell like burritos and pizza pockets and chicken planks and potato wedges and that kind of thing like that. Any kind of deep fried food like that. Really gross stuff. Well, normally I don't eat that kind of stuff, but if I was going to go somewhere where there was something really decent to eat, then I want to be headed home. And I knew I wasn't going to get to go home yet, so I went to this little store to get me something to get me by. So I walk in the store and don't really have anything in mind what I'm going to buy for sure. Just going in there to see what looks good. Well, I'm walking by the counter, and the old fat me is roaming around in my brain, looking out of my eyeballs, and it goes, "Hey, hey, hey! There's a barbecue burrito in there." So I think I'm getting that barbecue burrito. Okay, it's going to get me through until I can get off work. Talking to Ben, anyway, and I say, I'm eating a barbecue burrito, and he says, "I didn't know there was anything like a barbecue burrito. I didn't know there were." It makes sense, he said, that there would be, but I didn't know there were.
I was wondering if you caught that part when I said it makes sense.
I did, and I was in shock, literal shock, because I didn't know that anybody, at least from this part of the world, had not ever even heard of a barbecue burrito. You never saw one in a hot box in a
No,
store.
no, I'm sure I saw one before. I mean, surely if they're in there, I've seen them, but I didn't know what they were.
Are you a barbecue guy at all? Do you like
Yeah,
barbecue?
I love barbecue.
So when you see something with a BBQ on it, it doesn't draw your eye. Anything that has a BBQ on it, I always automatically kind of go, "What is that?"
No,
Even if it was fucking candy or something like that, it was barbecue.
no, I'm
candy.
very particular about my barbecue. Honestly, I don't eat barbecue very often out
Oh, well, see,
because
that's
it's never good.
there you go.
The rib crab, not good barbecue.
Burritos aren't good either. They're fucking terrible.
I grew up with my family would make big briskets, and you didn't even really eat barbecue on them because you're not a man.
Well, then you're fucking the brisket up by putting the barbecue sauce on it. Yeah, yeah.
Absolutely.
But I'm talking about like ribs at Rib Crib with some barbecue sauce on them. I'm talking about, you know, the barbecue. It's
Yeah.
shitty barbecue, and a barbecue burrito is the shittiest of the shitty. You know, you don't eat it because it's good. You eat it because it's palatable. You know what I mean? It's not. It doesn't make you want to gag. You know what I mean? It's not. I don't eat it and go, "Good God, this is delicious." You know, I mean, it's you can eat it. You know, it may or may not give you the shits.
Well, when you go to that
And-
hot box, the only thing I'm going to buy out of that hot box is pizza pockets,
Right, they're good.
and they better be white because if they're like crispy and burnt, I don't want them. They better be like doughy.
Well, see,
That's
this is
what I
why you
want.
don't. This is why you don't know anything about this shit because you have all these rules, bro. The main rule about a hot box is you get what they fucking got. You don't get to make the rules of the hot
Did they
box
have
unless
pizza
you,
pockets today?
unless you go to Red Oak to the Easy Mart in Red Oak, and they have a hot box of hot boxes, bro.
Really?
They've got so many things in there. I think they've got little corns, like deep fried corn. You know what I mean? It's like a corn on the cob. Little
That's
corn on the
gross.
cob with breading on it. They've got anything in the world you could want hot box wise. You know what I mean? But most generally, especially in this little store I was in today, number one, I'm hitting it late, 2 o'clock. So this
Mhm.
shit was probably made at like 7:30 in the morning. You know, so it's been sitting there under this heat lamp, and that's another thing. You know, you get that nice little bake on the
Yeah,
heat lamp.
it's hard on the outside, right?
The ends are
No,
not. You
I'm not
don't eat
doing
the
it.
ends. You know
I'm
what
gonna
I'm
get a
saying?
bag of chips, man. I'm gonna get a bag of chips over that every time.
Well, that's why your muscles are small. You know what I'm
Mm.
saying?
My muscles are small because I can't work out. That's why they're small.
If you ate barbecue
Because they got
burritos,
pretty
you'd
big there for a
be
while.
big and rich. You know what I'm saying? But anyway,
No, no,
but you know, and the first thing you said is you go, well, you didn't try the barbecue burrito while you were in there because it's
dude.
not good.
While you're
You know,
paying for the barbecue burrito, I would take a bite of it, and if you don't like it, say, "Sir,
but you're not paying for something that's good. You know, if you've ever had a barbecue burrito, and I've eaten, I don't even, I would be embarrassed to say how many barbecue burritos I've eaten in my life. But I would say they're never good. So you know it's not going to be good. So I'm not disappointed whenever I eat it and it's shitty.
you're
I knew it.
you're never disappointed."
I know that's going to be shitty unless it's really hard, like it's been there seriously like 8 hours and it's hard except for the 3/4 of an inch in the
In
very
the
center
inside,
of it.
yes, yeah.
The rest of it's hard ended. I've eaten those. I've took a bite of one time and it was so fucking hard I couldn't bite through it. Well, and I'm driving. You know, you're always driving when you're eating a barbecue burrito because it's like eating granola bars. You know, when you buy a granola bar, fucking granola goes everywhere. You know, like a
Hmm.
surprise or whatever. Well, that's what a barbecue burrito does too. When you bite the end of it, that tortilla is so fucking cooked, it just shatters.
I
You
would
know.
throw that fucking thing right back at that guy taking your money for that barbecue burrito.
Well, when it's 2:30 in the afternoon and you haven't eaten anything since about 8 o'clock that morning, I'm not going to say it tastes good, but it's edible. You
How
know what
was
I
it
mean?
today?
It was decent. I could handle it. But like I said, you know, you don't throw this back at this guy. This guy's got a fucking pit bull, and I'm not making this up. A literal pit bull standing behind the counter with him when he sold it to me. Who's when I walk up there, puts its front paws up on the fucking counter and barked at me because it wants some of my fucking burrito. It's like, hey, everybody knows you're not going to eat the front end of that burrito. Just give it to me before you go outside. You know what I mean? I'm like, hey, you're not my dog, motherfucker. You know,
Why didn't you do it?
tell your master to get you the end of the fucking burrito. He gets them for free. I had to buy this one, you know, but no, I didn't give the dog anything, and he ended up having to tell the dog to shut up. But you know, this guy's got a Marine Corps cap on. It was in the
Mhm.
Marines, got a picture on the wall of him, you know, and that kind of thing. You don't go throwing fucking burritos at Marines with a pit bull behind the fucking counter.
No, you don't.
Number one, he owns this store and he don't give a shit what I
I did
think.
not know about the. I did not know about the pit bull.
Well, there
Mm.
she stood, and I know it's a she because he says she always is begging for something to eat. You know what I mean? He's, you know, but
I think
anyway,
it's just her telling you don't steal no shit.
nah, she was giving me that. You know how dogs do that?
Yeah,
They give you like that head nod. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? They're like, "Come on, man, come on." You know that bark is like, "Hey, hey,
you're
hey."
not gonna eat that burrito.
Yeah,
That burrito sucks. Give it to me.
everybody knows you're not gonna eat that shit. You know, but
Maybe he was just trying to give you the heads up not to eat the damn burrito.
it might be so. You know what I mean? Maybe the dog knows something I don't know. But I don't know. It's been a few hours and I'm okay. But anyway,
What's a bean or what's a barbecue burrito made of, anyways? I mean, I'm
I
guessing
don't know. Barbecue. I don't know what's in there.
you don't know if it's pulled pork or
It's indistinguishable.
rib meat or.
I don't want to know. Okay, that's just. I don't want anybody to ever tell me because I probably won't eat them anymore.
I've never heard of a barbecue burrito. I've never heard of one.
I hope you're. And when you were saying this earlier, I was hoping you were just bullshitting.
I'm
around,
not.
You know, what I
I'm
mean?
not.
Like you
I'm
just like trying to be funny.
like I said, it does make sense, but I've never heard of one. Not ever in my life.
Well, I've been hungry enough where they were good. You know what I mean? Like, you know,
But it wasn't good today.
like I'm not a
It
real big
wasn't
water
bad,
drinker.
but it wasn't good.
Right. Well, I'm not a big water drinker. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? Like I don't really water just. But I've been really thirsty where it tasted as sweet as honey. I've drank water before that I was so thirsty, and it could be any old
Oh,
water
it's
you
because
want
when
to
you
talk
had your surgery.
about.
You were
Well,
talking
I'm
about
just
at one time.
several times in my life I've been
No, it
thirsty.
wasn't water. It was a popsicle.
Oh my god, dude! Yes, best thing I ever eat in my life, bro. I'll never forget how delicious it was. Never.
See, I pay attention when you talk.
And those fucking things were, if you were to hand me one right now, I'd be like, oh god, this fucking thing had no sugar in it. You know what I mean? Yuck. But at the time, my god.
Dude, the other day I walked outside right here in the back and was gonna go check my pool, and there was a bird on the on the edge of the pool, you know, on the, and it was just sitting there, and then it just
It
started
was just shitting there.
just sitting there. That's
Oh
like,
yeah,
that's
sound
like
like you said
shitting
it's
there.
just shitting there.
Well, I was thinking he was, you know, so he starts bouncing around, walking, and he walks all the way around the pool. I'm sitting there watching. He walks all the way around the pool.
He said, "Nice pool. It'd be a shame if somebody shit in it."
Exactly. And he gets all the way around, and he jumps through the little ladder part, you know, and then he just jumps in the fucking pool.
Really?
Jumped in the fucking
Did he
pool.
go like under, or how did he
No.
do it? What did he do when he got in the pool?
He was drowning.
Oh,
I
this
ran.
thing's dying.
Yes, I ran over there and got him out. And when I did, he bit me. I was like, "Oh yeah."
The bird bit you?
The bird bit me. I saved his life,
I
and he
know-
bit me.
Do birds bite? I thought they pecked. How did he bite?
He
you?
bit me. He turned around and bit me.
They have teeth. Can you bite if you don't have teeth? I guess you can. I
Well,
wouldn't call
maybe
it a
their
bite.
beak. Maybe their beak has miniature teeth in it. I don't
I
know.
would say he mouthed you. I guess you'd say. It kind of sounds pornographic, but I mean, I don't know what would be the accurate way to say that.
The bird mouthed me. Okay. Don't know.
Well, see, now when you say it, it sounds like he was talking shit. He was mouthing me, you know. I had to whoop his ass, you know. Jump in my pool.
Well, he did. Yeah, he wasn't talking shit. He bit me
So
and flew off.
I can't believe you just jumped in the pool. Maybe you
It
scared
was
him.
crazy.
Did
That
you startle him?
No, he ran around the whole pool, and when he got back around, he made a whole. I'm talking about a whole trip, a complete trip. And when he got back around, he jumped in the damn pool. He got underneath my ladder, and he jumped in the pool.
You know, I think you may
And
have
then was like,
interrupted-
"Oh shit!"
I think you interrupted a moment with him where he was contemplating suicide. And probably once he jumped in the water and you saved him, he's like, I ain't going out like this.
Well, I will
No.
tell you this: when I got him out, I say he flew off. He flew down in the backyard, and I went down there and was checking on him, and he wouldn't fly off. He was just running around, and he didn't look.
Is it a baby bird?
He may have been a baby because he had a lot of like feathers missing. He looked like he might have been either sick or a baby.
Yeah, this motherfucker's a little kid. He's fucking jumped in the pool and he's not supposed to. That's what.
But then he bit my ass.
Well, I mean, instinct.
I didn't know a baby bird
He's-
would know to eat
He
me.
thinks you're gonna eat his ass. You know what I mean,
I was coming to save him. He was in the water.
dude? We had baby birds in by my front door.
Mm-hmm.
We have like these. They're kind of like floodlight deals. They're motion activated by my front door at my house. And a bird built a nest on it. Right. Well, we were really busy at the time, and It was.
Don't tell me you did something to baby birds.
No. But I want you to understand how the bird built the nest right by my door, because normally I wouldn't let that happen. You know what I mean? Just because it's something.
Oh,
odd.
you.
Well, this bird in the process of building this nest.
Mm-hmm.
By the time I get ready to tear it down, it's got eggs in it.
Oh,
right?
did you
So
leave
we
him
go-
alone?
We go, fuck. So we leave it there, right?
Oh,
Well, this bird scared me in the dark
yeah.
300 times. It's
Yeah.
right by the front door.
It'll take off every time.
Yes, it's
Yeah.
ran into me. It would fly into me. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And both of us would have a small heart attack. You know. Well, okay, so we leave it alone.
Mhm.
Hatches the eggs. It's got the little babies up there, and it's high enough you can't see them good. You know what I mean? It's like overhead high where these things are at. But you could you could walk by and you could fucking bump the fucking door facing, and they'd feel it shake the nest, and every one of these motherfuckers would be they would wake up and stick their head straight up and open their
Yeah.
mouth
Yeah.
and ready to be no eye. You know, their eyes are shut.
Yeah.
And they would all of them at the same time like go, you know, and be ready to eat.
Yeah.
And it was hilarious, dude. We loved it. It's comical. Well, for whatever reason, and I don't know why, dude, we found one of them fell out of the nest, right? Ah, damn, dead. You know what I mean? We found it on the porch one day. when
Oh
we got
man.
home. Sucks. Okay. The next day, one of them, it's like these birds got into mom and dad's liquor cabinet and OD'd. Because the
Damn.
next day one was hanging out over the front of the nest, dead.
Dead?
Dead. There were other birds in the nest, and I'm not seeing the mama anywhere.
Is she coming
She's
back
a
and
shitty
feeding them?
mom, you know what I'm saying? I don't know. Dude, I'm not there all day. You know what I'm saying? I mean, she's coming and going.
Well,
doing
did the
her thing.
birds live? The other birds?
No, they all fucking died, dude, and I don't
Yeah,
know
the
why.
the mama bird left,
She must have abandoned them.
or she got killed.
That might be too.
That happened to me too, dude. It was the worst because they were on the porch in the nest. She put a nest in the fucking planter,
Yeah.
and I had to listen to them die. I mean,
Oh,
they're out there squealing, hungry, and I'd go out there and try to feed them, but it wasn't. I mean, I looked it up. I tried to research. I tried to, I was like, shit, how am I gonna get these birds? How am I gonna feed them? And a lot of people are like, they're just not gonna.
dude, these birds never made a peep. Not one sound.
These birds, you was sitting on, you're watching TV, and they're screaming.
That would be
I didn't know
terrible.
what to do
That would suck.
because I kept thinking they're gonna and I hate to even telling the story because it sounds like I'm kind of cold about, but everybody knows that knows me knows that I'm gonna do everything I can to save any kind of animal. I mean, hell, I picked up a mama possum that just been ran over, and I got, yeah, yeah, she had babies in her pouch that were freshly made, freshly born, freshly hatched, whatever you want to say. Fresh batch of baby possums. And it was cold outside. And I picked her up and put her in the trunk of my car. I was at work. It was nighttime. Uh
Was she alive?
no, she was dead, but the babies were alive.
What were you doing fucking around with a dead possum? How'd you even find out there were babies in there?
Okay, it was when I worked at the base. I was a security guard out at the base for a short amount of time.
And you didn't have shit to do.
Then,
So you're like,
yeah, I was running trucks, I think, that night. No, I wasn't running trucks. I wasn't, that was post 10. Post 10 at the time ran trucks. And so if a big truck come in with like explosives or whatever, a security guard had to, I'm not giving any secrets away. Maybe I am. Maybe I should keep my mouth shut.
did they give you a fucking non-disclosure agreement? Then
No, I was just in that area. And when I come back through, I saw this truck had went through, and I saw this animal was dead, and I was just in that area, and there was no dead animals. So I stopped. I was like, this thing just got hit. So I stopped and was looking at it, and got out, and I could see the pouch moving. I was like, oh God. So I loaded her up, put her in the back of my trunk in my car. And it was really cold outside because I didn't think they were going to make it. But my truck was, it wasn't.
This is a security guard vehicle or your vehicle?
Security guard vehicle. I was in a truck, but I went up to the front and put it in my trunk of my car at the time. Next day, called my mom. I was like, hey, I got this. Do you know anybody that can? And she found somebody that was that came and got them and tried to feed them or whatever. And they end up dying. None of them lived. They were like literally born that day. So I think if you know what you're doing really well, you can help them live. So anyways, with these birds, I tried to feed them, and there was nothing I could do. And I didn't want to move them because I was hoping the whole entire time that the mom had like traveled to Texas or traveled to Missouri and was like, oh shit, I got kids at home. And then, making her way back. And I didn't want to move the kids. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah,
and
then she come home and they're not
right,
there anymore.
Right. So then I was hoping that maybe another bird would be like, oh shit. And there were birds that would come by and like squeak and shit, like they were upset too, but they were not the mom.
Yeah.
So they'd fly off and they were like, shit, they ain't my kids. And they were rolling off.
Got some June bugs and some worms and chewed those bitches up real good. And then take them out of your mouth with the spit on them and give them to the birds. They would have ate them.
Yeah, I did. I tried.
You did chew those up?
I didn't do that. Oh. But I did try little pieces of worm.
No, man, it's got it.
They don't. There's something about the way the mom feeds them. I read that it's just almost impossible for us to feed them that way.
Well, it's very similar to the way you eat popcorn. Dude, I mean, it's pretty much exactly the way you eat popcorn.
Here we go again about the way I eat popcorn.
Well, I mean, it's true. You eat popcorn like a baby bird gets fed.
Well, there you go.
It's like a thing where,
maybe it's the correct way I'll do it.
It was the worst thing I've ever seen.
I've never told that story about those birds because it was literally excruciating for me and for them as well. I did not like it at all.
So you just let them, they just died of exposure?
If I had it to do over again, they died of hunger.
You just spiked them in your front yard and been done with it?
No, absolutely not. I do not kill animals.
Yeah, but is it not more humane than letting them starve to death, for Christ's sakes?
Well, I should have gotten on Facebook and asked and I think I did. Maybe I did.
You should have just said, can somebody come by here and kill these baby birds, please?
Can somebody come by and at least get them and try to save them?
Well,
because we have a nest we have a fan on our back deck, and this bird made this gigantic freaking nest on top of the fan. I was like,
Damn it.
okay,
Damn it.
yeah, but they're gone now. And I saw her feeding them, and like went outside 30 minutes later, and was thinking, okay, I'm gonna see them up there, and didn't see them. I was like, okay, it's weird. And so I got on a stool or something and looked up there, and everything was gone. 30 minutes. She was feeding them. 30 minutes later, they're gone.
Huh. It's probably when I'm on the edge of your pool over here
It was the
that you tried to
last.
kill by
It was.
fucking drowning.
Yeah, it was the last feeding. I think she told them that too. She
Oh,
up there
yeah.
was like, "This is it.
Yeah.
Fly away."
Yeah, you motherfuckers better start figuring it out. About to get real
We
hungry.
have a nest in our mailbox is brick, right? So right underneath the mailbox itself, there's, I guess, an opening, and there's birds that come and I guess it's either, and I don't know. I need to talk to somebody about, is this the same bird every year, or is this a baby bird that comes back and puts a nest in? Because every year we have baby birds in that mailbox. Lived here for 15 years.
Every year.
Every year, multiple times. Sometimes they leave, and then you have another nest.
Huh.
But they're little bitty birds.
Yeah.
You're like, how in the hell are they getting in there? Anyways,
Well, that we inherited a cat.
lucky you. My
No,
cat.
I don't really appreciate it. Now,
Really?
I want to say
You were upset when you thought that cat left.
now that the cat has been here a while and it's established itself, and
Are you
know
get?
more
Will it let
about
you
it.
pet it?
Oh yeah, Brandy carries it around everywhere.
Oh, really?
Yeah, yeah. She's allergic to him too, by the way. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? She's never been around him or anything. Never messed with cats. She loves this cat. And yeah, I was kind of jacked up when I thought it was gone.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's like anything. When it first comes, you're like, I didn't fucking ask for this. You know what I mean? I don't need another mouth to feed, bro. You know
Oh,
what I
yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
So no, I didn't ask for this cat, and it's a very small kitten. It's very alone, and I felt kind of sorry for it. So of course, and it's back there meowing because it does not belong alone anywhere. You know what I'm saying? It's too little. And so then because I'm 46 years old and probably my testosterone's getting low, I'm like, man, I feel sorry for this cat. It's all out there, it's storming and shit outside, all that big hail and all that shit came around. This cat's out by itself in that deal. Anyway, now Brandy goes out and she's nicknamed it Gertie. So now she goes out and the dogs go out with her. We have those 4 dogs, and if you say, let's go see Gertie, these motherfuckers try to tear the front door down
So they
to
don't
go
try.
play with this cat.
They don't try to kill it.
No.
You thought. You thought.
In the beginning, we were
Yeah.
very afraid because the Dan, our rescue dog, one time he had a cat like hemmed up in our backyard. He didn't really try to kill it. Matter of fact, I called him off of it, but he had it fucking jammed up against the wall, and this cat was not liking it. I said, Dave, and well, the neighbor lady got mad at me one time because my dog had been after her cat in my fucking backyard. By the way, she's like, she's from the Philippines or something like that. You know what I mean? She's just like, your dog. No, she's from no, it wasn't the Philippines, Peru or something like that. Anyway, I can't remember. I saw her like the time I talked to her, and then one time walking through my neighborhood. But anyway, she's like, your dog scared my cat or whatever. And I'm like, well, it was in my yard. You know what I mean? What the fuck? You want this fucking cat to have free range in my backyard? Well, you're in the wrong fucking neighborhood, lady. But uh
Peru.
anyway, I think it was South America somewhere now.
Somewhere.
I'm not sure where.
What is she doing in Latimer County?
Well, this is not in Latimer County. This is in Pittsburgh County. It's when I lived up here.
Oh, okay. Okay, I got you.
Yeah. So her husband was with the big Highline thing that came in here. He was like a big boss for him.
Mm-hmm.
He moved in here to put all that big shit in here in town, and they used to live in South Texas, and now they moved up here. I'm saying all that shit to say we were afraid that dog would kill the cat, and he did not. He's not as into it. Neither is the Yorkie as the other 2 dogs. The other 2 dogs love the cat. They wrestle and play, and it does all the cat things, skivvy paps to the face, and and all that. So yeah, but it's a member of the family now. We don't take it inside. It's fucking.
And it don't eat dog food. It eats cat food.
Yes, we do have cat food for it now. It has its own bowls and shit, and it's out in the lean-to out behind my shop. It stays out there. It ventures around and does things. You know how cats are, but yeah, you know, we don't bring it inside. It has gotten to where it's getting in the backyard now. Brandy was fucking terrified the first time she found her in the backyard. She's afraid the dogs, because we weren't around to stop the
Right.
dogs or whatever, and they're just out there fucking playing. And, you know, nobody gives a shit. So, and
So
she,
you're saying before too long it's going to be in the house.
I'm saying, no, it's not. We don't. I put it to her like this. I know she loves the cat. I like the cat just fine and everything,
Mm-hmm.
but we need the cat out where it is. It will be just as well off where it is as it would be in the house. You know, from a cat standpoint, I mean, what's to be gained by laying around in the fucking house all day long? It wants to hunt, you
Right.
know?
That's what you think it wants to do.
Well, I mean, it's instinct. You know what I'm saying? I mean, cats
Yeah,
are,
that's true.
to me, cats are less domesticated than dogs. You know, a
Absolutely.
cat's still about half-ass feral. Even a tame cat is like, no, I want to fucking kill something.
Yeah.
You know, whereas a dog's like, I've given up on that life. You know, I have dog food.
Right.
Fuck the animals. That's a lot of work. You know, where a cat is like, well, I like to work. You know, I want something to do. So, in that end, I think the cat would be just as
The
happy
cat
where
is
it's
like
at.
in the house, and the cricket is like, and the cat's looking at the dog like, you don't see this cricket? You don't want to kill that? Okay, I'm going to go kill it
Yeah, yeah.
because it ain't going to live. The cricket's not going to live.
Well, like it has jerky movements, and a cat can't take that.
Right.
You know what I
Right.
mean? Anything fucking jerky, this motherfucker got to go kill it. You know.
Yeah.
That's what I find funny about the dogs is if the cat runs away, they can't not chase her. Like there's no way they can stop. I see that they don't want to. They can't stop
The
themselves.
dogs have to chase.
Yeah, if the cat just takes off running back to it, because in any moment of panic, the cat goes straight back to where we found it. You know, it's a
Right.
safe place or whatever. So if something bangs real loud, or you know somebody starts an engine up on something or whatever, this cat immediately hauls ass back to where it's from. And the dogs cannot help but chase it. Now they're not trying to kill it or anything like that. They'll chase it right up to the fucking door where it goes in, and then it'll stand there and wait on it to come back out wagging. Come back out, you know what the fuck. But yeah, it's a neat little
So how's
add on.
so it sounds like Wilburton is doing you good.
Yeah, I like
Moving
it
back
down
to
there.
Wilburton.
Yeah, yeah. So far, so good. I'm not.
I love that place. Went to Cason's ball game I'll say the other day, a while back. And man, I missed it.
You went into Roy's and everything.
No. No, 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 no. I went to the ball field and went back home. Well, I went to Rubber's Cave, checked it out. Man, I am so excited about everything that's going on at Robert's Cave.
Well, did you eat at the restaurant? Won't be
No.
excited about
And
that.
that is what I wanted to talk about also. I know the last time we talked, I don't know if we talked about it on the podcast. Did we talk about you going out there and eating one time? And you said you were going to wait and eat there a few more times before you gave
I've done that.
before your
I'm ready.
your rating,
I'm
your
ready.
review.
I'm ready.
Okay.
It's a solid 1.
Solid 1.
Yeah, 1 to 5. 5 being great, 1 being fucking terrible.
And
It's
1.
a 1. It's a Taco Bob's.
See.
Yeah.
Well, don't say that because a lot of people like Taco Bob's, but
Let me tell you something.
give it a shot. Right?
Now, all I heard was how great Swadley's was. You know, the one that they ended up the corruption was whatever, and they got rid of Swadley's. Now this Lookout place is taking over, or whatever. And you know, whoever owns this place, I apologize. Well, I don't apologize. You know,
Don't
I wanna
apologize.
take that back because
Constructive criticism.
they could do better. It'd be real easy because this Swadley's place had a fucking line. From what I was told, I never got to eat there when it was Swadley's, of course. But everybody always said when they went, there was a line out the door to get in because it was so good. My mom and dad raved about it. They ate there like, my mom and dad don't go out to eat all that often. But they went out there like 3 or 4 fucking times while it was open because it was so good. And I go there and there's no line. There's plenty of room to go in there and sit down and eat. The food is fucking not even mediocre. There's fucking flies everywhere in this place, dog. Everywhere. Flies all over the fucking place.
Well, how are they supposed to get rid of the flies?
There's a lot of ways. I don't have flies in my house like that.
I know, but
I get flies in my house.
We went into a restaurant the other day. Where was it at? Dang it, I forget where it was at.
The sin is not.
Oh, Stigler. Flies. We went to Taco Bell in Stigler. Right? It's a brand new Taco Bell.
Yeah, you had to. You probably drove all the way over there just to eat a Taco Bell.
Absolutely not. No, we played baseball at Stigler, went to Stigler and got some food, brand new Taco Bell, and it was kind of warm in there. Like it didn't feel like the air conditioner was going. So there were flies everywhere.
Was it bad this year?
I went into the bathroom and there was probably 17 flies on the ground dead.
Ew.
And then probably 17 flies flying around.
Why were they on the ground dead? That's kind of fucked up.
Because they'd been in there. I guess. I don't know.
Their fucking race.
I don't know.
So long. A housefly. How long is a housefly?
And I hate to say, you know what I mean? I mean, this is why we have a podcast, you know, we mainly for people, mainly to hear their stories. And now we're going to tell our story. And here's my story about Taco Bell and Stigler. There were flies everywhere.
Ugh.
So I was sitting there eating, didn't want to, but we're all like, oh my gosh, this is so many flies. And I'm trying to think, what can you do to stop the flies?
There's a number of things you can do.
So the restaurant at Robbers Cave called the Lookout. What can they do to stop the flies? But that's not the problem, right? That's not the main problem. Of course, flies is a big fucking problem.
Yeah, if you're doing an outline.
But if the food is good and there's a lot of flies, then you're like, okay, we got to do something about the flies. But the food's not good and there's lots of flies. So maybe the flies is not what we need to talk about. What we need to talk about is the food.
Well, the flies are insult to injury. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's like the food's bad and it's so bad there's flies there. You know, it's almost like I want to say they usually don't have anything. The thing I was most excited about, because the investment group that owns the Lookout, they have a pizza thing, company or whatever, chain or whatever. Well, they're supposed to carry that brand of pizza, and I ate it somewhere and it was really good in over by Oklahoma City. So I'm really looking forward to them serving pizza out there. But they still, after months of operation or whatever, they still don't have pizza available. Well, whenever you go out there, every other fucking thing you try to order off the menu, they're like, well, we don't have any of that. Or, I'm sorry, we're out of that. And I'm like, what the fuck do you have? You know, I mean, you go, I'll take a baked potato. And they're like, no, we're out of baked potatoes. I'm sorry. Which sounds like I'm being picky about something. But then you go, okay, well, I'll take the sweet potato fries. Oh, I'm sorry, we're out of sweet potato fries too. I'm like, okay, so what do you got? You know what I mean? Give me a list of what you got then, because the menu's obviously a fucking lie. You know what I mean? You didn't go through here and mark any of that shit out, or wipe the menus off, for that matter.
The dirty menu. Yeah, okay, so my thing about but before you go on about this restaurant not having the baked potatoes or not having this or whatever, there is a fantastic grocery store 6 miles away that they could go get baked potatoes at or sweet potatoes at. I mean, they have a fantastic grocery store that they can get all this stuff at. So there's my suggestion. Drive to the damn grocery store nearby that is fantastic, that everybody and their dog shops at. No one's ever had I've never heard of anybody griping about that grocery store. Even people in McAllister, a lot of people when I first moved here would talk about driving to Wilburton to get their meat at this grocery store. So there's no excuse for, you not to have baked potatoes.
That's kind of where I was headed with it is it's like this really, like, we don't really care.
Attitude.
What are you going to do about it type thing? You know what I mean? And it may not be that way, but it comes off that way. And for me, after you go out there, and I've given it 3 chances, been out there and ate 3 different
times. That was going to be my next question.
Yeah. I mean, and I feel like that's
enough.
That's enough to where you didn't just hit it at a bad night. You know what I mean? Where you go, instead of it being as bad, it's kind of gotten progressively worse. You know what I mean? It's like, the food was always just okay. And now, like, they don't even have shit half time. So I'm like, y'all about to close down? You know what I mean? Is this, y'all on your way out? Because they were closing early when I was there the last time because they were out of food. They're like, we're closing early today because we were out of so many things.
But the food itself is not good.
Not really, no. It's what I've eaten there, and I ate 3 different things. Every time I went, I ate something different, and it's just not. Like one of the things they have out there is queso blanco fries. You know what I mean? It's like white cheese dip on fries. It's got bacon and shit on it, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Now I'm not getting these things thinking they're going to be gourmet. I mean, they're fucking. It's kind of like the barbecue burrito thing. You don't get these thinking it's going to be the greatest thing you've ever eaten in your life. But the queso should be warm. You know, uh, it should be congealed.
I
You know
don't.
what I mean? The queso looks like fucking cream of mushroom soup fresh out the can, just dumped on top. It's lumpy and
I don't feel that way though. I feel like it should be gourmet. It should, and I get that you're. I
Well, I'm
get that
trying to
you
be
right. I get you're
open
trying to be
minded.
understanding and open minded, and you're excited. We're all excited about the park and how it's blooming.
Sure.
And so you don't expect gourmet, but I kind of do expect gourmet at Roberts Cave State Park, and
I wanted to love
the
it.
amount of money that they put into the park when you put your business in that restaurant in that building, it should be fucking gourmet.
Yeah. Well, and I went looking for that. I wanted to love it.
There's no reason for it not to be. Now, I get that on the flip side of that, especially when I was in Tennessee, man, it don't seem like we don't see it that much here. And maybe we talked about this on the last podcast, but when I was in Tennessee, dude, they were having a hell of a time finding people to work.
Oh yeah.
The Pizza Hut had 2 people in it, period, working it when I walked in there. Every light's off except the back. The light, when you walk in, there's no lights. The the I know I'm getting on a but I walked in, I was like, I'd been eating at McDonald's. The line was always an hour long at McDonald's. It's crazy. It's never supposed to be that way. It's crazy. You pull up there and they're like, we've just got 2 people in here working. You're like, 2 people in McDonald's,
Yeah.
I'm like, how is this possible? And then I go there like at 10 o'clock at night and they close at 11. I'm not going to show up at 11, or 10:30 or whatever. I show up at 10 o'clock just so that I don't get my food spit in. And I sit in line forever. And I get up there and they're like, we're so sorry. And the woman's like, I've worked all day today. We're usually better than this. We just don't have anybody to work. And I'm just like, holy moly. And then the front desk tells me at the hotel, he's like, yeah, Tennessee, you file for a job or you apply for a job. And then when they tell you have the job, you quit and they pay your rent. They don't check. They don't call. He said, I called. He's the owner of the hotel. And he's like, I called. Like, hey, just so you know, this person, I hired her and she never showed up to work. And now you're paying her rent. And she's getting 2 or 3 people to move in and they're paying her rent. So she's making bank and living off the state of Tennessee. Yeah. And they told him, well, we don't have enough people to verify. So we don't care if she did that. That's exactly what they told him.
God.
And he said, so I have 2 people that work here right now. I had to ask for towels. And the girl was like, I think I talked about this already. The girl was like, no, I can't give you a towel. You have to call the front desk. Every towel I have is accounted for each room that I need to clean. So you have to call the front desk and they'll bring you a towel if they have one. Tennessee was where I was at was fantastic. It was awesome. But if you wanted some fast food or if you wanted some food, I went to Red Lobster. I went to Red Lobster in Tullahoma, Tennessee. Was seated. There's, normal lunch day or whatever. And I sit down and there's this massive pit bull, people laying down at the table, and these people are feeding it from the table.
Inside the fucking restaurant?
Inside Red Lobster. Okay. And I was like, all right. I almost took a picture of the dog. I wanted to, but I was like, all right, I get it.
They couldn't blame you if you did.
Right.
I mean,
but nobody ever stopped and talked to me. Nobody ever got my order. Nothing. I sit there for 20 something minutes.
Are you serious?
Yeah. And I was, and my line of work when I'm out of town, it's balls to the wall. I'm constantly working. It's from 8 o'clock in the morning, 7:30, 7 o'clock in the morning to midnight, 1 o'clock in the morning. Constant. So to stop at Red Lobster is not something I can do really. So I
Right.
sit in there, I'm 20 minutes, I'm like, shit, I'm going to Walmart, or I'm going to Taco Bell, or I'm going to McDonald's. And I
Dude,
got
you
up, walked out.
they literally, no one ever waited on you.
No one said a word to me. And they walked by me 17 times and nobody ever stopped to me. And I'm sitting by myself and it's not full. It's a lunch. It's probably after lunch. So it's like probably 3 o'clock, 2:30. And there were people in there, but not very many.
It doesn't matter.
Very little.
It doesn't matter if there were people in there or not. You know what I'm saying? I mean, holy shit, they need to fucking check on you.
So that was
Get your order.
that was Tennessee.
Wow.
That was Tennessee. And they couldn't find people to work because they're paying their rent and they're paying their bills. So I don't know if the Lookout is having the same problem in Wilburton. I don't know.
Oh, there's people working there. There's young, they got.
Yeah, but
who's
I
the
don't
next
know
day?
if there's enough. And I don't know if they're able to go to Roy's and get some baked potato or get some potatoes if they run out. They should be able to. I've known of several restaurants that's done that. Went to Walmart here in McAllister's, went to Walmart, went to, or in Wilburton, go to Roy's and get what they need, get some shredded cheese, get some cheese, whatever they need. I've known of it to happen before. So I don't know if the Lookout is able to do that. I'm sure maybe their guidelines are like, no, we can't buy outside food from Roy's. We have to get it frozen on a truck. We can't get no fresh food. And I say fresh food. Maybe they just, for whatever reason, they can't get outside food.
Oh, I'm betting it's something
But
along the
I
lines
would
of,
think that no matter what, go get, I don't care. We don't care if we're getting baked potatoes from the truck or not. We're going to Roy's and getting them. We
well,
don't have them. We're going to get them.
they have like a deal with these people that
Yeah.
all the state parks use the same thing.
But if they damn sure ain't providing,
But I bet it's on purpose. I'll bet because people made a big deal out of the Swadley thing that now they're like, oh yeah, well let's see how you like it like this then. And I don't disagree with it. But my issue is the replacement. It doesn't have to be the same, or whatever. But this is like not really.
not even the close to
It's not
being on
really
that level.
passable, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And there's almost nobody in there. You know what I mean? It's not like it was packed and
Well, I'm glad we talked about it because maybe now they can make some changes.
I wish that they would do something different. And if the people that own it or manage it or whatever have their hands tied, hey, I get it. But if not, do better, man. I've eaten a lot better food at Denny's. Okay.
If you're
And I'm
the
talking
owner of
about-
this place and you're not producing good food, it's on you.
yeah,
You know,
you have
you've had better food at Denny's.
yeah, like back before when Denny's was real bad. You know what I'm saying?
Well, I wish
I'm talking about 1 o'clock in the morning, 3 o'clock in the morning. Denny's has been better than what's out there.
damn. I want them to succeed, but they have to change.
I
Right?
wanted to love it, dude. I wanted to go out there and say, dude, right down the road from my house is one of the best restaurants around. You know what I mean? We'll go out there once a week and eat. Go
Yes.
out, I wanted to do that's why I kept going out there.
Yeah.
I wanted to do what my mom and dad were like, it's delicious. You got to go try it. Of course, I had to work the entire time at Swadley's. I never got to go, not
Well,
one time.
The greatest part about the whole thing is they can make the change tomorrow and they can pack the house,
Yeah.
but you got to make good food. Period.
I'm gonna have to hear something way different, like new management, or I need to hear some admission of guilt, and then what we're doing to reconcile. And I'm not going out there until then. Now, are they going to miss my money? Maybe not, but I'm telling you right now, anybody that's hearing this,
Well, that's what I was
go
going to
try it
say.
for yourself. Go try it out and see what you think. Give it a shot. Try it 2-3 times, like I did. $15, $17.
50
40 or
bucks
50
total,
bucks to
60
for everybody
bucks.
to eat, and then fucking walk out there going, ugh, I mean, that was not good. Maybe next time.
And that's not
maybe we
good for
caught-
tourism. That's not good for tourism. And that would have flew in the 80s when everybody and their dog from Wilburton was out there.
Yeah.
But now we're trying to get people from Texas. We're trying to get people from all over to come. It ain't just a Latimer County thing anymore. 'Cause back then, that's what you'd see. I mean, I'm sure there's people from all over that would come too, but
Well, there's a shitload of people that won't go out to the park now because you have to pay to park or whatever.
Gosh.
And there's a lot of people that just are like, I'm not paying to park out there. No, not going to the park no more. No,
Yeah, what about that?
dude. It's just like the lottery to me in my thinking, in that,
Does everybody have to pay?
well, I haven't been paying to eat at the restaurant. I don't know if I'm supposed to or not. I don't know, but I don't know how you are supposed to do that for sure. I don't know. I don't
Oh,
ask
okay.
anybody. I just pull up in the parking lot, park, go eat, come out. There's no ticket on my shit, so I leave.
Yeah.
But there's no sign saying you have to pay to eat at the restaurant. You know what I mean? Or else I would pay. But as far as whether or not I think it's a good thing, if the money would be used to better the park, I'm 100% for it. I mean, why wouldn't you want a nicer park? You know what I mean? If you're relying on the state's budget alone, just on what they allocate for state parks, well, then it's always going to be what it has been. It's going to be really stinky, nasty bathrooms and fucking bare minimum everything.
Yeah. I see that, but I don't like the idea of having to pay either. But Native Americans, do they have to pay?
I don't know.
I thought I saw somewhere where Choctaws didn't have to pay, or Native Americans.
Well, my thing is, if you can get if you can get some really nice facilities out of it, it's like a half-cent sales tax or something like that. You know, it's like, well, maybe this is worth it.
Yeah,
You
but
know,
I feel like if you had good food and you charge for camping and you charge for the, paddle boats and that kind of thing, maybe not pay to park. I hate to pay to park, dude. I will skip it every time.
well, and there again, I'm not saying, and I don't go out there very much anymore, but
I don't, and I don't have I don't like it, but I don't know if it's right or wrong.
I'm kind of the same way. I mean, I don't know what a better alternative is. I know what it's been my
Well,
whole life.
we've never had to pay.
Yeah, but it's always been shitty. You know what I
Right.
mean?
That's true.
I
That's
mean,
true.
you got to think about, like, you ever took a shower out there? It stinks like a fucking sewer. And then when you're trying to take a
No,
shower,
but I've known a lot of people that just go out there and take showers.
ugh,
That's weird to me.
well, they must be in a bad way. You know what I'm saying? If you're homeless, I get
Well,
it.
I don't even know if it's homeless. I just think maybe their power was out or whatever, and people would go out there and just take showers. I mean,
Well,
and I
I
couldn't
was
tell you
always,
anybody in particular, but I've known of people to go out there and take showers.
well, if I need to go out there in emergency, have to stop and take a shit,
Yeah.
I am worried there's going to be a fucking rattlesnake in the bathroom because there's no doors. You know what I'm saying? Any
Still,
any fucking thing could crawl in there and be sitting there waiting on you.
well, that's the
Be it
only
leg
way to.
spiders and fucking scorpions or any other thing. You know what I mean? I'm like, come on, man. You know. So to me, I'm like, well, if paying to park is what we got to do to make this fucking
I can see that.
modern enough where it's not a fucking outhouse to go in there and
Yeah.
use the bathroom, then so be it. Sorry. You know what I mean? Well, then, people are like, well, I'm not going to go. Well, then fucking don't go. And I'll stay in the nice restrooms, me and all the people from
I
Texas.
can see that if that's what it takes
Right.
to have it as nice as it is right now, because it's very nice and they're doing more and building it up.
Here's what I got to say about your money, right? Okay. Anybody's money, and I don't care who we're talking about. What is your money for? It's to make your life better. You know what I mean? Money in and of itself is not, it's fucking paper. It's nothing.
Yeah,
But
but if you're going to pay to park and then you're going to pay to camp or you're going to pay to ride paddle boats or you're going to pay to go in and eat shitty food at the lookout, then I can see where people don't appreciate it.
well, if it doesn't get better, yeah. But I mean,
And it's a hassle. I mean, think of the cool things that we used to do out there. I mean, we just pull up and you have a big freaking birthday party, which I don't think you can do that now. I think you have to actually rent the gazebos or whatever you call them. Those, I think you have to rent them. And I don't know if you had to rent them back then, but think about the easiness, just driving around and stopping and going to the caves. You have to pay to go to the caves.
I don't
How do
know.
you pay?
I think
We
you can
don't.
pay online or with your phone or something
Oh, and
like
you're
that.
supposed to put something in your dash or something.
I don't remember. I think it's something to do with your tag number or something like that. You register it and they can go and
Mm.
look at your tag and go, oh, yeah, they've
Maybe if
paid.
you have a Choctaw tag, you don't have to pay.
I don't know.
I'm okay with that.
I don't know. I've never paid to play. You know what I'm saying? So I
Yeah.
couldn't tell you what the rules are
Well,
necessarily.
we stopped and walked on to like towards the gazebo on that bridge over there by the amphitheater. We stopped and was chilling there, but that's really the only time we stopped. We got back in and took off. And it's the first time I've been over there, man, in a very long time. The last time I went over there was when we took the Michael Myers and Jason Voorhees pictures,
Yeah.
photos. That's the last time. That was years ago.
Yeah. I
I miss it bad. Miss it. man. It's just different when you haven't been over there in a long time like me, and just crossing the county line, and you just, man, it literally, I'm not kidding. This time it hit different. It
Felt
hit
like you were
different.
coming home, didn't it?
Yeah, just the air smelt better to me. Everything was great.
Yeah.
Everything was better for me. I'm not being. I'm just telling you the truth.
Well, there's nothing wrong with
A lot
that.
of people are gonna be like, "What the hell? Come on, man!" But I haven't been over in a long time, and I miss it, but I can't go
Well,
back.
well, and you know that I feel like I've had. We were saying this a little bit ago. My experience since I've moved back to Wilburton's been a good one so far.
Yeah,
You know, uh, I enjoy the slowdown. You know what I mean? The pace of what's going on over there is. I grew up in the country. You know what I'm
yeah,
saying? So it's more to my liking than it was here. And there was plenty of things about living in the city of McAllister that I've been over and over again on the podcast about that I hated. But the main thing was the pace. You know what I mean? It was like, and it's not that McAllister's a thriving metropolis and it's fucking 100 miles an hour, but it's everything is. I don't have to. I don't feel like all this fake bullshit is right in my face all the time. I don't feel like somebody's constantly dressing or saying or being going somewhere specifically for someone else to see them doing it. You know what I'm saying? These
right.
people ain't fucking doing that. We're just going about our lives, and that feels like I'm more around people that are more like me when I'm there. You
Yep,
know what I'm saying? And so I know exactly what you mean. It's an air. It's a difference in the way things are. Well,
it
you're
is different.
from there. I
Yeah.
mean, at the end of the day, you started your life there, so there's going to be some. You're going to feel some sense of normalcy when you go there versus what you do
Well,
now.
Amy has always said that. Over the years, every time we've went over there, she's like, "It is you it is so beautiful over here. It's home for me.
Yeah.
Latimer County, home. Wilburton, home." I'm like, "Yeah, it is pretty. You're right, it is." But you don't realize how beautiful it really is. You know what I mean? When you're from there.
Yeah, when you see it
And
every
she said
day.
all the time, she said, we can move here. Because I would be like, we, let's move to Wilburton. And she's like, okay. I mean, she's always wanted to move to Wilburton.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what the hell are you talking about? There's no Walmart here. There's no Taco Bell here.
Well, I can
You
tell
know,
you from firsthand experience, I don't miss any of that shit. None of it.
there's no Chick-fil-A here.
Don't give a fuck. You know what I mean? And I like Chick-fil-A. I'm not big, but
Chick-fil-A is 30 seconds from here, man.
yeah, but
30 seconds.
I tr-
Maybe a minute.
I'll trade the convenience. And that's his
Yeah,
personal
I
opinion.
agree.
You know what
I
I mean?
agree.
I'm not saying everybody should.
I
I'm
agree.
saying for me, it's worth it. Now, there's times whenever I'm like, I want like if I'm working on my
Like
fucking
you need some
bathroom.
damn milk.
Well, like no, I can get that. I can go to the grocery or to the dollar store or some shit and get that. But I'm talking about
Yeah,
like
but you're a
I
good
need a
drive from it.
I need a fucking drain when I'm working on my bathroom,
Ah,
and I'm like,
yeah.
I need to go to Lowe's for that. Fuck, you know what I mean? Fuck. 30 minutes one way just to go buy
Yeah.
a fucking drain, which I can go to they got True Value and all that kind of thing. But you know how it is in a small town. These dudes don't stay open past 5.
Well, they may
You
not
know.
have exactly what you need. You probably can get what you need in
True
McAllister for sure.
Value it surprised me several times.
How
And
much stuff they had you needed?
I'm not necessarily like endorsing them or whatever one way or another, but I am saying I've went there several times and them guys be like, I'm like, man, I'm looking for this.
And they're like, we got you.
And that guy goes, hey, follow me, and they'll take off. I'm like, hell yeah.
We bought Case a U-ball, which is a beach basketball goal for the beach. And dude, we we I I ordered it. It said 3 to 5 days shipping, and I got on the website to check to see when it was going to be here, and it was going to be here after we left for the beach.
Damn it, yeah.
Yeah, we were leaving on Saturday, and it was going to be there. It was going to be here on Monday. So I messaged U-Ball, and I said, "Man, what can we do? Is there any way you can get a hold of UPS and have them divert it to, Gulf Shores?" And they were like, "We'll
Yeah,
try."
yeah, for $85 in shipping, motherfucker, will change where it's going.
Well, They called. They said, "We're on the phone with UPS for 30 minutes today, man. We're going to try one more last ditch effort tomorrow." And I was like, okay. And I figured that was
We ain't doing
we
it.
tried,
Yeah.
but goodbye, good luck. And the next morning, I got a notification saying it was going to Gulf Shores. And I messaged them first. And I said, "Hey, have you heard from UPS?" And they said, "Yeah, cost us $100 to ship it to Gulf Shores. So we hope you have a good vacation.
Shout out to U-Ball. Holy
U-Ball
shit.
for real." And we got it. It came to cost them $100, and we got U-Ball at the beach house delivered. UPS man pulled up, carried it over there, and I was like, "Dude, you are going to be a hero. You are the hero today." And he was laughing.
For them to spend $100 to ship this motherfucker, I don't want to know what this fucking thing cost, dude. If they weren't making money, they wouldn't have done it.
I felt bad, and I feel bad. So it's this, and I didn't really think about putting them, doing a shout out on the podcast. I just thought about making some video and tagging them in it, and if it helps, it helps.
It's a neat fucking deal. I mean,
But
no matter what.
But the motherfucking U-Ball about killed me on the beach, bruh. Okay.
Well, you about killed yourself from fucking overdoing it.
Bruh. Dude.
How do you play basketball in the sand exactly?
Well, you just take 3 steps. You don't have to dribble.
Oh, so it's like when my grandmother played basketball, 3 steps you have to pass.
Or shoot, yes.
Yeah.
It's like 21. We played 11. We didn't play 21. The rule was, they looked it up. 3 steps, pass, 3 steps, shoot. One of the two. And so we're playing 11. I'm going to tell you right now. If you don't already know. When you're trying to play or run in the sand,
yeah,
it's a whole new ball game.
Yeah.
And I know this. Been going there for 15 years.
Well, I know you can run on gravel and shit, but did your feet get raw in the sand?
No, not really. But dude,
mine do. Mine get raw.
Dude, the sand was deep. And it takes so much out of you. Because I was like, 11? Who can't play to 11? By ones.
Did you guys play quite a few games, or?
It was me and Kaysen against Ethan and Carter, my nephew. And yeah, so they're 20 years old and 24, 23. And then me, whatever my age is, and Kaysen's 14. And
47.
So no, I'm not 47. So not even close, bro. That's you. But yeah, dude, it was awesome.
47.
Held up great. It was great.
Can you dunk on this?
Yeah, you can dunk. You can't hang on it. The one we got, I think it's like 8.5 feet, 9 foot.
Sweet.
It was actually just perfect, honestly. I think they have another one that goes up to 10 feet.
So you couldn't dunk on it?
I did not try to dunk on it. Okay, because
there's no way you can dunk on a 9 foot goal. You can't jump very
far. I can dunk on a 9 foot goal easily, but not in the sand. You know how much energy you're wasting trying to dunk out there?
Sure.
Dude. I'm not kidding. I sit down. Amy sent me a picture. She took a picture of me. I'm in the seat and I'm like, after the game is over. But we had timeouts, thank God for those. So I was like, how many timeouts we got? And the other guy was like, 2. Ethan or Carter was like 2. So I was like, timeout. And I just dropped to the ground. I'm sitting there, dude. I'm feeling it. It's like exactly how I felt back doing CrossFit during like Fran or Murph. It will literally, you can die if you are stupid. You know what I mean? The great thing about CrossFit is you can scale it. Okay. But if you're like me, you just push it too much. It don't take much, especially since I haven't been able to work out in, 5 years. So I got out there. I was like, oh, yeah, let's do this. We're about to ball on y'all,
What did it do to your headaches?
The next day, I was actually okay.
Really?
I had headaches the whole time I was there.
Right.
But
I
figured it would. I figured it would. But dude, it comes to a point in your life where you're getting ruined. The fucking headaches are ruining you.
Yeah.
So you're like,
we're doing this.
Yeah. Someone challenges me, to b-ball, and I haven't got to play b-ball in a long time. I'm like, fuck, let's do this. We won. We won.
Okay.
They said we cheated, but we won. We beat them. They did not appreciate it, but it was a barn burner. It was like 11-10.
Oh yeah.
It was a hell of a game, man. Hell of a beach That was the only game I played.
Oh, you only played one time.
You're damn right, dude. I sit down. Casey's like, Dad, let's go to the water. We're right there on the water, you know. And I was like, dude, if I get in that water, I may not ever come out.
You know how young kids are too. He's like, get his breath back, and he's like, I'm ready to go again. Let's play another game.
He never lost the breath. He was in way better shape than I thought he was.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because all the kids, I mean, Ethan and Carter, he was flying past them to get the ball.
Yeah.
You know, if the ball was rolling on the ground, Amy goes, she even saw it. She goes, and maybe she even videoed it. She got some video. She said, yeah, the ball rolled right past you and you didn't even reach down and grab it. And I was like, because I'm in my head, it's chess, it ain't checkers. You know,
Yeah.
it's
I serve myself a little
yep.
bit.
And it was all part of the plan. You know, I'm like, if I go for that ball, that's how much I was dead.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm serious. I was like, no, let them get it. And he's going to miss it. He's going to shoot it from out there. So he's going to miss it. So I'm not going for that ball because it's too much energy I'm wasting. That's how bad out of shape I am, you know?
Yeah.
And you don't really realize it until you get out there on the freaking sand and try to ball on U ball. But it was worth it.
I could see how that would take a lot of energy, but
Held up great.
U-ball, that's pretty impressive, man. I mean, that's a pretty neat little. You already Yelp them or something, man. I mean, help them out. Do a Google review or some bullshit.
We'll do a short on this U-ball story I just told.
Hell yeah,
it's worth it. Definitely worth it. And I would not say it if I didn't mean it 100%.
Yeah,
it was great.
Holla, U-ball, holla, 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 holla. Yeah, dude. I'm glad. I'm glad you guys had a good time. I don't really enjoy the beach that much.
Speaking of Wilburton, I was at a client's house in Tennessee, middle of nowhere, Tennessee, out in the boondocks. Real nice ranch. And long story short, the guy, he said he was telling me about different problems he was, had. He's like, yeah, I just had a pump out there. It went out. He goes, man, that thing was in there for 30 something years, 37 years in there. He goes, so hell, when I got it out, I just ordered the same pump. He goes, I was impressed that it lasted that long, I said, let me guess.
2 weeks.
Franklin Electric. And he walked over to the box and there it was. It was a Franklin Electric pump.
Yeah. Dude.
I was like, and he was like, I said, dude.
My hometown.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
that was the story I wanted to tell. It was, I was pretty impressed. And he was very impressed. He was like, I said, man, actually, I worked at Franklin for a very short amount of time, as well as everyone has, We've all gave it a shot. Did you ever work out there?
Yes.
We all gave it a shot, It's not for everybody.
I talked to a kid today whose family's from Wilburton.
Yeah.
He works in the oil field now. He's a young guy, young family, and he worked out there for 2 or 3 years.
I didn't work out there at all. But Franklin Electric, dude, he was highly impressed with that pump.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, he said, I figured he was going to say he expected it to last 100 years and he was going to order a different pump. And he was like, no. He goes, I ordered the same brand.
Yeah.
He goes, I was impressed. And I said, let me guess. And he walked over there and grabbed the box and straight up. Franklin Electric.
They probably don't make them as good as when I was working there. We did a good job. I worked there for like 5 months.
I tested them. I didn't build them.
I built them.
They showed me how to build them. I think I built a few, but for the most part, I was down the line a little bit, tested them.
Oh, that's what Richard Sonneger did whenever I was out there.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he was the tester guy, whatever.
Franklin Electric.
Dude, shout out to Richard Sonneger. So funny.
I didn't know that was a sewing factory beforehand. Carpet. I think it was a carpet factory before Franklin.
Yeah, that's right.
I think my uncle was telling me that the other day. My uncle went with me to Tulsa, dude. I'm telling you right now, there's no better storyteller than him. He's my uncle. This is the this is the uncle I've known my whole life. And he fucking cracks me up still to this day. His story and not just crack me up, but just I'm like on the way there, different stories on the way back. I was really hammering. I was really talking about, our family back before I was born, getting the story of, just when they were growing up and Papa and my granny and my mom and all of that. And just, dude, his memory is so insane and he just knows every little detail. and just telling me stories. And I want to tell a story right now of what happened, but I gotta wait for him to tell the story because it is fucking hilarious.
He's the one that did the how you doing, the thing you do all the time.
Absolutely, he is. We're fishing that story. If you don't know, when people are talking to me, I'll look behind them or to the right or left, and I'll wave. I'm waving at the air. I'm not waving at anybody, and I'll say, "How you doing?"
And it works a lot
And
of
it
the
makes
time.
people look, and then they
'Cause
look
they'll
back
think,
at me, and they have this like, "What the fuck are you doing?" You know, I did it when my grandpa was in the hospital in Fort Smith. There was like I don't know, one of the top
You've done it to me a lot of times, and it's funny now.
one of the
I think
top
about it.
surgeons or whatever in the whole hospital had just I was doing it to somebody I was talking to, maybe my uncle or maybe my sister or somebody. And this surgeon, he's walking by. I didn't know he was going to pop out. Right. And I did that. And he
How you doing?
stopped. He stopped and looked at me. Now, you would think a doctor would just think this guy's,
Or just wave and say, "Hey, how you doing?" and keep walking or whatever.
he knew I wasn't waving at him.
Oh,
Okay. You would think a doctor would think maybe I'm a little slow or something's wrong with me or drunk or I'm on drugs. And he just keeps walking like I'm not messing with this. But he stopped and he goes, "Who are you waving at?" Dude, dude, I'll never forget it. My mom will never,
oh my god!
everybody
Dude.
laughed their balls
I
off.
bet they did. I bet they did. It's very funny.
But my uncle did that to me. Uncle Bub, we were fishing at a pond one time in Red Oak. And
What were
man,
you doing though? Why? Give the setup.
okay, so we're pond hopping, right? I didn't know.
Tell what pond hopping is for somebody that might not want know what
Well,
it
I
is.
mean, it could mean you're going from pond to pond fishing. It could mean that you have permission. It could mean you don't have permission. And in Latimer County, if you don't have permission, you might get shot. You don't
Right.
play around on other people's land in Latimer County.
It's gonna piss somebody off that catch you in your pond.
If you're not from Latimer County and you're going to Latimer County to hang out and ride four wheelers or whatever, don't fucking do it unless you
I have
100% have.
I got 2 ponds on my 20 acres, and if I
Mhm.
caught somebody fishing out there that asking me, I'd be mad.
Damn straight.
Legit, I would be mad. So
Right.
yes, go ahead.
Yeah. And you went from you went from not city boy, but you went from living in the city to out there, and you're already you're
Man.
already
Yes, yes.
So
Anyway.
we're on this pond, and with him, man, I just never could tell. I always in the back of my mind was like this. He would tell me, "Oh yeah, it's okay. It's okay to fish this pond." Because sometimes he would tell me, "No, it ain't okay to fish this pond." You know,
Keep you on your
and
toes.
I wouldn't do it. That's the thing. I didn't. I was like, dude, I know when I was 16 years old because I was 16 years old. I know when I was 16. You know, people. I know that I did a lot of crazy shit, a lot of dumb stuff, a lot of frying my tires, racing, and all that. A lot of, but when it came time for something like that, fishing on somebody else's pond, especially when I had family that had land and had ponds, and I knew how they didn't appreciate that kind of thing. Um, I just didn't, man. I didn't like getting in trouble. You know, if I just didn't like it. And so with my uncle, man, I just didn't know. You know, he'd say, "Oh yeah, I have, yeah."
So you never know if he's bullshitting you or
On
not.
this pond, I didn't know, and I was like, dude, I was questioning. I was like, "Hey, do we have?" He's like, "It's fine, it's fine. The guy don't live here, I was like, "Do you have permission?" You know, and he's like, and I forget exactly what it was, but I know I was on edge while I was there, so I wasn't for sure. I wasn't for sure if we had permission to be there, but we just parked on the freaking highway and jumped the fence, and I could take you right to that pond, right outside of Red Oak, on the other side of Red Oak, heading east. So we're sitting there fishing, and I'm on edge. I'm ready to run at any given time. I mean, if somebody pulls up, good luck catching me. You know what I mean? So I'm already ready to run. I'm not even worried about getting caught if that's the case. But I didn't want nobody seeing my face.
To be able to get gone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And my uncle's fishing. I'll never forget it. I can see it, and then he's sitting there and he turns his head and he goes, "How you doing?" He's smiling real big, you know, and he's not laughing. It's not like a laugh towards me. He's smiling like he's happy to see this person. How you doing, dude? And dude. My feet are already on top of the freaking grass. You know what I mean? My feet ain't even on the grass. On the weeds or whatever, dude. I'm on top of that shit, flying.
Oh my
And he
God.
laughed so hard.
It's still funny to
And
me, man.
and right at yeah, well,
Oh my God.
and I ran with it.
Yeah,
When
your
people
face,
do,
because you guys look similar.
yeah,
I mean, you don't look exactly alike, but
right.
you can tell
You
you
can tell we're
guys are
kin.
related.
Uh-huh.
And for you to turn your head, it puts me there. I mean, it puts me there with you and him doing that to you and the look on your face, because I know what you look like too. I know the look on your face when you feel like something's gone, because you get a very worried look on your face whenever something you think is out of your control. I mean, I've seen you do it, where
Yeah.
you think something's going on, your eyes get big, and dude, I can just see
Dude, I was ready to fly.
he has absolutely fooled you. And the reason one reason why it's so funny to me,
He's got me. I've done this to people 5,000 times since
to
then.
me,
And he got me that day better than I've ever got anybody.
right? Because nobody's ever fucking seen that before,
Right.
yeah.
No one's ever been in that predicament with me where we're not supposed to be somewhere somewhere we're not supposed to be.
He's fishing. He's thinking, I'm about to scare the living shit out of this
See,
kid.
I already
who's
knew I
worried."
was on edge.
Yes.
Yes. 16 years old. I'm fishing with my uncle. He had told me
I can see him.
before.
I can see him with the hat on and everything.
There was a strip pit over there by where you live.
Yeah.
And he told me he knew the guy who owned it and he had permission to fish there. And he's like, dude, you can go fishing there. And it was the only time in my life that I ever fished somewhere I was not supposed to be fishing.
Did you fish without him? You went there without him?
Yes, I went without
Okay.
him. Me and Brian Toll. So we walked through the woods. We had to walk through the woods a little ways, and there it is.
Yeah.
Right. And I think there's two of them right there. But it was the only time, and I say it was the only time I was fished somewhere I wasn't supposed to. As far as, the guy showed up. Not him. It was a friend. I still to this day don't know who that dude is. And I wish, if you are the guy that chewed me out that day, comment on the podcast, because I'm going to come kick your fucking ass. Because that's really the only time I've ever got an ass chewing like that where I didn't really deserve it.
He wasn't the owner?
No.
This dude wasn't the owner?
No. Yes, I will kick his ass. No, I will hammer fist his face one time. I don't want to kill the guy. Oh, dude, he let me have it. Me and Brian. Of course, I took over. I was like, I wasn't like trying to say, well, both of us.
Did you
But
not say
I was
my
like,
uncle has
listen,
permission?
yes. And I told him his name, and he goes, I don't even know who that guy is. But he wasn't the owner.
Do you think that your
wanted-
uncle just told you that shit?
No, but I wish I would have known who that guy was, because I would have went and told my uncle.
Yeah.
And that dude,
He dealt with it.
he would have dealt with it, because I'd have told him, listen, and maybe I had it coming, because I never did it again. I didn't want to do it in the first place. It was the only time really. So, maybe it's a lesson learned, I guess. Don't listen to my Uncle Bob,
How you doing?
Yeah. So then he does that, After that, I was like, this is it, dude. I'm not doing this no more.
Well, and I'd never had it done to me. You know what I mean? I've never seen anybody else do it. Now I use it sometimes.
I hope you do.
But the origin of it, I always tell once I get somebody, I'm like, this guy I know, blah blah blah. But you do a good job of selling it too, because especially whenever I didn't know you all that well and you did it to me. I remember we were standing in the parking lot at the old gym at Wilburton when you did it. It's fucking dark. It's 10:30 at night or later, maybe. We'd stay out there for all hours of the night bullshitting. And you look right past me and you go, and we're carrying on a conversation, and there sometimes people will walk by down that street that's, right there by, what street is it that goes by the school? Blair? Yeah. And, people sometimes be walking by there, and I'll have my back to whatever in the fuck you're looking at, and you would go, How you doing? And it would get me every fucking time. Usually it would get after a while it would get me, and then I would do it behind you, or whatever. But very funny.
Well, no one's saying anything to my uncle when he does that shit. You know
Yeah,
what I mean? If he's pond hopping, no one's saying nothing to him, you know? And so
yeah,
he's just like, no one's going to, and he would tell me, I would say, what do you, he'd say, well, if you got an ass chewing coming, he goes, I take it. I
yeah.
just, because if they go too far, but if they say, hey, don't leave me out here, da, 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 he goes, okay, you're right. I shouldn't. He goes, but, don't take it too far,
What I think is funny
you
though
know?
is like,
Cause I'm like, have you never has no one's ever gotten mad at you? And he would say, if I have it coming, I'll take it.
yeah. Well, if you're sneaking on somebody's pond, I mean, you got to expect it.
Right.
I mean, I know personally, if I walked up on somebody and they're on my back pond fishing, and I walk up there and I go, "Hey, man, what are you doing in here?" And they go, "I'm fucking fishing. What are you doing?" Well, then I'm gonna pull out my pistol and I'll be like, "We need to get the fuck off my land, sir,
Yeah.
right now."
And that's how everybody's going to be.
Yeah, I mean,
But right.
you know,
Yeah. That's why I'm saying if you're going to Latimer County, if you're going to Robbers Cave, know before you go.
yeah. Well, and if you're fishing with your uncle who tends to like to do pranks, then you
Gosh
might want to be
dang,
ready.
man. Yeah. And I mean, I tried that guy that day.
Well, one
He
thing
chewed
about
me
your
out.
uncle is though is he's very funny. He has a very good sense of humor and all those things like that. But he also has a very serious side. He could be
Yes.
very, very serious.
That's exactly how my whole family is, though, if you
Right,
think about
right.
us.
I was getting to that point. Is it's kind of a thing that runs with you guys. Is like everybody's very funny, very good sense of humor, but can get very angry, very, you know, can
Violent.
yeah, can lose that sense of I don't care what happens over this. Or I'm mad or whatever. So those things coupled together make for like a unpredictability, and especially for a young guy, it can kind of lead to this thing of shit. I'm just on edge because, and he's kind of counting on that. He
Yes.
knows you're feeling a little bit out there, like your ass is hanging out in the wind.
Oh yeah, for sure. For sure, man. He got me good. He got me damn good. But when something like that gets me, when I'll run with it. It's
Right.
like Trent the other day said in our group chat. I didn't remember that Trent said it, but he said that he said something one time when we were playing Madden back in like 2001. He said it one time and he said from then on I've said it. And I'm like, well, you're welcome. Because
I'll turn it into something.
I'll turn it into something. So you're welcome, and I don't feel that way really. I'm not saying that, but when he said that, he's like, I said this and you ran with it, I'm like, well, but it's
That's
like
how.
Josh, when he said, I don't drink coffee.
Yeah.
I mean, dude, he only said it that one single time. He never said it another time. It wasn't a big deal to him. He just spurted it off or blurted it off, and I ran with it.
Yeah.
And it's just like with a lot of Uncle Bub's sayings. There's some sayings that I want to put on T-shirts, dude. Dude, I can't. I can't. I mean, like I said, he's my uncle, and I've known him my whole life. And for me to still feel this way about the way he talks and the way he tells stories, and just the shit that he knows,
Yeah.
it's still mind boggling to me.
Dustin would make if we saw him somewhere. Dustin would stop and talk to him every
He
time.
loved Dustin.
Every time, no matter where he
And it
was.
was funny to me that they were, they worked together for a while
Mhm.
and they, were around each other because it was, I just loved it because I knew that they would love each other. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? I knew that Uncle Bud would have a heyday with Dustin, who have a good time and tell some funny stories about me and about,
Well, he would
family
go. He would
stuff.
say, "There's Brian James. There's no telling what he's going to say." Is what he would say, and then we would head straight for him because we'd be driving the truck, and he'd be coming out of a store or something like that, or when
Hmm.
they were working together. If he knew he was at their shop or whatever, he would make time. He's like, "We got to go in here. Got to go see what he's going to say." And I didn't know him. I'd always heard of him, but I didn't know him
Yeah.
well.
He's going to come on the podcast, by the way.
Yeah.
He's coming on.
Yeah.
He's coming on. He already said he's coming on, and it's going to be a tell all. no holds barred. So get ready.
I'm
Get
I'm ready.
fucking ready. Get your popcorn ready because it's going to be a crazy fucking ride.
Well,
Okay.
I can imagine. I can't imagine.
The
Yeah,
only
but
theme song for this is Crazy Train. You know what I mean? That's the only one that'll work.
well, I know that of all the things that you hear one way or another, it was always that his life is random. You know what I mean? Like there's a lot of just different any different scenario you can imagine has happened to him one way or another. It seemed like, that's always what I heard. It's like you can't make these things up. Dustin's always like, you never know
Right.
what he's gonna say or what he's.
Well, that's the stories I've told, like Justin Mullins, Coach Mullins, I've told around him and some friends and stuff, when we hang out. And I tell crazy stories about my life, and Justin's always said that. He's like, I said, man, I know this sounds crazy. And it may not be just stories about me. It may be some stories that's, Latimer County stories. And Justin would say, dude, trust me, I'm not sitting here thinking you're a liar because you can't make this stuff up.
Yeah.
This is not something you can just make up, And I'm like, dude, everything I've ever told you has been the truth. I've never.
Dude, you can't. Well, we tend to think that's unique.
That's a lot of people from Latimer County, not just me. It's just I'm the only one from Latimer County that's talking to them at that time. But if there was somebody else there, they could, they'd be like, yeah, this is exactly what happened. Or, yeah, that's what Ben did. Ben is a jackass or whatever, that type of thing. I was thinking about Robert's Cave, a Robert's Cave story, and which there's a million of them. But one of mine was when Scotty and I and our cousin Jennifer Wackerly, yeah, I'm going to throw her name out there too because she remembers this very well. But we stumbled upon a biker party going on at the caves. Okay. And we parked. We're like, what the hell's all these cars? That's what we did back in the day. Just go out there, park, and cruise. I mean, all that.
I went to one.
You did it too. But we were just cruising. We were not expecting to see 400 freaking cars, or whatever it was. So we stopped, and the guy at the very bottom was like, no, y'all are too young. And we were like, how much is it going to cost? And we pulled out the money and paid the guy, and he let us up. So we walked all the way up to the caves and had no idea what was going on, had no clue. He told us, I think he said a biker party or whatever they call it. And we were like, we got to go check it out. We get up there, and I remember there being tents in the woods. People were having sex in the tents. And I was like, oh my God, we got to get out of here because this is crazy. But we keep walking, get on up to the biker party. And there was a girl, I won't say her name, but we all know her, was on the stage dancing. I was like, what the hell is going on? Dude, I got so nervous. Scotty was nervous. Jennifer was nervous. We were like, well, how do we leave here without getting murdered? Because we've seen too much, I just felt like at any given time, someone's going to say, oh my God, these kids are here, because we were 16, 17 years old. And Jennifer was probably 18, 19. We had talked her into it. She didn't want to do it. She's like, no. And we're like, come on, we're going up there. And so I'm getting nervous. I don't know what to do. And all of a sudden, out of nowhere, Mike Manasco.
Oh, yeah.
Mike Manasco. Come over there. Hey. And I'm going to tell you something that I learned that night is he's a well-connected man. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
And no one was going to mess with us. I knew right then. Everyone was like cool with Mike,
Yeah.
He was like the, to me, he was like the main attraction. I'm like, thank God for Mike Manasco. He come over there and was talking to us and all that, and I was like, he could tell that because there was a lot of stuff going on, man. Not just banging intense. It was a lot of stuff was going on.
Well, there's a lot of unspoken rules and shit. You know what I mean? A lot of the ones I was at was, it's kind of like you don't do that or whatever that might be. You know what I mean? The average fucking crash test dummy shit where you're fucking running around acting like a maniac. You don't do that shit. You know what I mean? You get your fucking ass drug out of there, and
Yeah.
who knows what happens or
And
whatever.
that's what I was worried about. Someone was going to see that I didn't belong. I was no biker, you know? And so Mike Manasco saved me.
Can you imagine the stories he can tell?
I know.
Holy shit! I can tell some stories about him myself.
And Carrie, you know, his brother, he died recently, Chance's dad.
Mhm.
I hated that, man, for Chance and everybody else in that family. Man, Carrie, he was one of the, to me, easiest going guys I've ever been around.
Yeah,
And he was, you know, he was a very large man. He's tall and he could be a little bit intimidating, you
Yeah.
know, but he was just like a big, you know, just nice guy. Well, I remember one time we were, I may have told this story already, but we were riding four wheelers in Chance's yard in Panola, the house
Mhm.
he had right on the highway, real nice manicured yard.
Yep.
We're riding four wheelers and doing wheelies, right? And we're dragging the back end of and at the very, I mean, we'd been doing it all day
In this
long,
manicured yard.
dude. Yes, it was bad. It was, excuse me, it was terrible. And I got to looking around at the end because we were just having fun.
Yeah.
I'd like to think that I didn't do it, you know? I'd like to think that I was smart enough to not drag the freaking,
Back
but I
right
got to
before.
looking around and there were ruts all over that damn yard. And I was like, we're all dead.
It was a nice little house too. I remember it.
We're all dead. Carrie's going to kill us all, you know? On top of us going and taking all of his steaks because he always had Lavera's steaks.
Oh yeah.
And we would all go hang out with Chance's house and have 15 steaks, it seemed like, you know? And then I'm sure Carrie, when he got home, he's like, shit, where's all my damn steaks? But it seemed like the next day the freezer would be full of steaks again. Like
Yeah.
it was no big deal. I don't know if he ever said anything to Chance about those ruts, but
I
he
remember him there.
he
I
let me
remember
live.
Crockett lived right next to him. That's
Yeah.
how I knew. You know, I went over there. I went to a party there once at Carrie's house, but Carrie was not there.
A lot of good times at that house.
I was only there that one time, but it was nice. I remember there was seemed like there was a hot tub. A hot tub there.
Yeah, in a pool. I
Yeah.
believe
Yeah. I was only there the one time, but
that's where we held up the girl and another guy I know sucked on her toes. Won't say no names.
Almighty.
Well, I say we held her up. Okay. She was standing on one foot, so she wanted to use our shoulders and he wanted to suck her toes. Okay. It's a rated R podcast, people. He just,
I hope people can see your face when you're saying it, because I see you looking down and you're.
if you don't know, it's rated R by now. Yeah. Well, I wish I could tell the whole story, you know, but I still can't. Well, I know we've touched base on this one time. I thought Trent was going to tell the story one time, and we laughed our balls off on the podcast because I thought he was telling that story. And I said, dude, don't tell that story.
Yeah, I remember that.
And he started laughing because it's a great story. And I mean, no one was hurt, you know?
It's well, I got something I got to add to that, but I won't because it gives away who you're talking about. But
I've got a friend that is breeding Frenchies.
oh yeah,
And they told me that it cost $6,000 for this one Frenchie's, you know,
semen. Oh yeah,
$6,000,
that's
bruh.
that's pretty valuable.
I mean, with me, you're going to get blue eyes and a big dick, but I couldn't even get 50 cents out of mine.
Come on. Right.